have not given us anything to take home. Nothing. They have given us nothing.
WASU Secretary General Constantine Wasonga, on his part, has dismissed claims that lecturers have been allowed to return to work after reaching an agreement with their employer.
I saw a letter circulating in the media purporting that we have reached consensus. How do you expect us to go and negotiate on retirement age? Retirement age is guided by policy. So if universities have failed to implement the policy directive that requires dons to retire at 74 years, then you cannot purport that we have negotiated and agreed.
This event comes as several university workers were arrested yesterday as they held a peaceful demo in Nairobi's CBD. National Assembly Deputy Speaker Gladys Boss-Shilley has voiced support for the censure motion aimed at evaluating the conduct of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Shilley says that she will personally oversee the process. Meanwhile, Francis Atwoli, who's the Secretary General of the Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU, has criticized Gachagua's actions, suggesting that he should face arrest for undermining the president.
Deputy President should be an appointee of the President, not a running mate. Because when he becomes a running mate, he feels he's also a president. President William Samoei Ruto is out of the country and is on top of his car. Now he's the real president, misleading people, misguiding the nation. He must be arrested. A deputy president is supposed to play fool. He's supposed to be just, not even to be heard.
This event comes as Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana has submitted the censure motion accusing the Deputy President of violating the ethics of the office of his office in accordance with the laws of the Constitution of Kenya. He has raised allegations that Gachagua has several times made inappropriate statements in relation to leadership positions in the country, funds allocated for projects in various areas, and which incites some people in the nation. The Senate is expected to discuss the conduct of the Deputy President as soon as the motion is presented to Parliament by Speaker Amason Kingi.
Is this constitution really helping us? That once you are elected as a deputy president or a deputy governor, you start thinking, I'm a co-governor or I'm a co-president. Are we doing the right things? If I'm just to hazard, and I'm not in the mind of President Ruto, I'm not in the mind of any governor in this republic. I'm not even a governor. But if I was a governor today, if I was a president today, there's an area where I was born. I would want to do more for that area. But I would never, as a governor or as a president, stand in front of people and say, this area, I am fighting for this area. What happened to the office, oath of office that you took? What happened to the Constitution?
That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. It's about shipping out.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man.
One of Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss any morning, and it's a show that really gives a real situation in the Situation Room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthai, nice meeting you. And even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again.
Character is like pregnancy, you cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say, you cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment. The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Ben low, nin inte, yenin der, ayu markati kadikta. You know this character called Lydiah. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. You know, sweating is biblical. And he must blame it on Adam, not me. You know, because Adam messed up and he was told, now you fellow you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping out.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man.
One of Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can't run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Getting into the second day of the week and what's happening on the roads where you're coming off of this morning. Interestingly enough, the Thika Superhighway doesn't have much coming into the CBD. Very different from Monday. What's coming off of the Eastern Bypass is very little traffic, as well as coming out of Westlands. It looks like we'll have an easy start to Tuesday. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. We'll just wait and see what happens as we get into it. Whether you're coming out of Westlands or coming off Ngong Road, coming off the Southern Bypass, you're all right getting into the city, at least for now, this Tuesday morning. Let's see what happens as we get into it proper. We'll talk SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is
Good morning. It's the way to start this day on the 24th of September 2024. How you doing, Du?
I'm fine. It's 24th of September 2024.
Imagine.
How about that for play on numbers?
We forgot about the 21st day of September.
Yes, we did. Do you remember?
The 21st day
of September.
Hey.
I don't know the words. Do 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 do. Dancing in September. Ooh, I'll make up my own words, 'cause I don't know the words of the song. Dancing in September. Ooh, Tuesday in Nairobi. Ooh, we can do whatever we want.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I agree.
Thanks.
Yes, we're the kings and queens.
Do whatever you want.
Kwani konene.
Nene.
Kwani konene.
The building is still standing.
Yes. How are you, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday. Thank you very much for tuning in, for waking up early, or for sleeping late, or for
never going to sleep.
Yeah, not yet going to sleep. All the things that you are doing. Asante sana for joining us. We shall have several conversations today. Many of them will be on governance. Okay. Number one, Wajiro Ikonyo, when devolution started, she was like, devolution has started. Okay, so now, then she hears MP saying CDFs. She was like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
See what?
What do you mean?
Never.
She's like, no way, no way. Yeah. So she went to court. And the court said, you know what, this thing called CDF, now with devolution, it's now unconstitutional. The government is like, why? Because it's a parliamentary thing. Okay, now, you see, the national government has its own projects, okay? The national government can have its own way of doing projects and then dividing this money to the ground. And then we shall create this structure and we shall call it the National Government CDF. And in that structure, we're going to have a board and we're going to have CDF committees in the constituencies and MPs are going to be oversighting. Now they can now go and make sure that the people in their Matter went to the Court of Appeal. Again,
You went.
Court of Appeal judges, 3 of them, said that thing, imagine, is unconstitutional. Even after you amended the law and you call it NG.
Doesn't matter.
Imagine it is unconstitutional. Now you have until 2026, Malisa yokitu.
So we will understand whether what that means is that no funds should be given to the county in that manner.
Constituency.
To the constituency in that manner. Because you have all these other monies coming to the county. Why do you need money coming to the constituency? Why? It's not easy. You know why? That constituency development fund makes people like, mini kings in their constituencies.
They feel like that.
Sasa unataka kutoa?
Yes. The law, as it stands right now, says MPs have no role at all in CDF apart from what they do in Parliament, oversight the national executive. But what do we see MPs saying? Mimi unajua CDF yangu inatoa basari.
Inajenga hii barabara. Nanunua basi ya shule.
Shut up. Shut up. Wow. So 7 a.m. Wanjiru Gikonyo will come and then we'll hear what this ruling is all about. She'll break it down for us, okay? She was one of the people in that case. At 8 o'clock, Kiprotich Arab Cherargei is a senator of Nandi County. He will be joining us today. Mass sacking in Nandi County. Will legal action unravel the county's crisis? There's a lot that's going on there. Plus, Kiprotich Arab Cherargei is among those senators who are hijacking Karongo Wadhangwa's committee. Him, Edwin Sifuna,
Okoh
Mtata, and this gentleman from Kisii, Onyonka. Sasa jana sijui the vuruga bad.
Wait, did you watch that session?
They even walked out.
Have you ever seen Body Sweat? Body Sweat
It was like now, simsikize basi. No. Anyway, Cherargei comes in at 8 a.m. At 9 o'clock, we will have Kipruto Arap Kirwa. He is a governance expert. He's a former minister in the Mwai Kibaki government. This Ruto Gachagua rift, an impeachment motion, what does it mean really for, our country? Politics, when you talk about good manners and bad manners of politics, what's that word? There's one word for that.
Yeah?
There's one word for this.
For what?
For this thing I want to say.
Impunity?
No.
Which one?
Manners.
Manners? Bad manners?
There's another word. There's another word that we use.
Indiscipline?
Yes. No, it'll come. Don't worry. Okay. I think you're not getting it.
Clearly. Absolutely. I
think you're not getting it. It's 18 minutes after 6. So those are the conversations we'll be having today. If you're online, we thank you very much for joining us wherever you are, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X. If you're listening to us on the radio SpiceFM across the country, asante sana. Even Radio Garden, nyinyi. That's the word. Winfred Jerry got it.
Political hygiene.
That's the one. That's the word I was looking for. It came.
Hygiene.
Yeah.
Tena sasa yo hygiene ni kitu ya kusumbua mtu asubuhi.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
14 and cloudy conditions in Nairobi, highs of 24 and lows of 13. We'll see lows of 13 in a mostly clear Nakuru at 14. It's 14 and cloudy in Nyeri with highs of 24 and at 13. Eldoret is clear, going to highs of 23 and lows of 12. It's already partly sunny in Mombasa, highs of 30 and lows of 23. And Malindi at 24 currently will go to highs of 30. All right, we'll see highs of 30, I beg your pardon, in Kisumu, where it's partly cloudy at 20, and at 18, Kakamega is cloudy with highs of 28 and lows of 16. Kampala is partly cloudy at 17 with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam at 24. Sun is up already, going to highs of 30 and lows of 23. We're looking into a partly cloudy Johannesburg at 9 degrees, at highs of 21, and Mogadishu at 25, partly sunny conditions to highs of 30, while at 10 degrees, Addis Ababa is going to be sunny through Tuesday with highs of 21 and lows of 10. Looking into a partly cloudy Lagos at 25, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 32 in a cloudy Kinshasa, currently at 25, coming down to lows of 24. Kisumu I beg your pardon. Beijing at 23 is sunny, highs of 25. And Paris, heavy rain this morning at 14 with highs of 18. And cloudy at 15 in London with highs of 17 and lows of 12. And around things out in New York where it's mostly cloudy Monday night at 18. Coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 19 and lows of 16.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Salimia watu tafadhali.
Everybody is here. Good morning, beautiful ladies and handsome men in the studio. It's over.
Even
Finished.
those ones on the other side.
Everybody handsome.
Including Lydiah.
Who
else is there?
Avin.
Who else?
Avin didn't sleep last night too.
Oh my goodness.
Just be knowing now.
Hey.
We'll talk about that story later.
Okay.
I think there's Frank there somewhere. He's even waving at us, facing us with his back.
Franco.
But no Allah.
Very good.
Now he's facing us with his front. I don't know who else is in there. People who are not there are late to work.
Yeah.
So anyway, all of this greeting is coming from Desmond.
Okay.
Don Sabwa says, the hand of God purged Masengeli, restored security, freed the 3, 1 not alive, then a judge rescued only in Kenya. Where? Michael Olande says, bonjour mes amis, bonjour mon ami, how are you? Linus Gitonga is greeting us this morning. Evans Ntabo says, good morning. Mulima ni maombi tuye SDA. Okay, so Robert Tobago is greeting us from Mombasa. Another day to start well, says Jimmy Munuthi. Onganyi Malala says, good morning, Eric and Indus. Only in Kenya where a D student has the guts to arrest a professor. Ate what? Okay. Black 254 says, good morning. Another day for Kenyans to witness drama of the president and deputy president. I know. Good morning, Indra and Eric. Things are getting heated kwa Mrima and in politics in general. I know. Hi, Rachel. How are you? Tano Teka is greeting us from Rochester in Minnesota. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Amen, says Janet Mugalani. Anthony Karaja is greeting us from Dallas in Texas.
Cool, Dallas, cool, eh?
Dallas. Sky Simba is greeting us from the east coast of where? Kenya. Where?
Australia.
Do you know? Where is it? Agola says good morning. You too, Agola. So you say something else. Just good morning like that. Joe Mungai is greeting us from Bonnie Lake in Washington. Hola, assuming it's true that Rigathi has been sidelined. How many Kikuyus are going without food? We must cease being used. See, people are still eating and sleeping in their houses. And we're behaving as if the world is ending. Stop it.
There are many who are going without food.
Because of this Gachagua thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Tibbs Muga says, good morning, team. Reporting in. Thanks always for the hard work. Thank you very much for being here every morning. Leo, good morning, Princess Ndu. Good morning, Leo. Hope you're well. Is greeting all the rest of you.
Tumesalimika sana.
Yes.
The rest of us.
David Kashangaki says hello. Why is Kenya going through all this impeachment? I don't know. Roger Thompson is greeting us and says keep up the good work. Ivan Omondi says good morning from the dusty plains of Kitengela. Allah. Where the sunsets are beautiful and so are the sunrises. Don't ask me how I know. Lillian Oweno says, good morning, greeting you from Houston. Dominic Abuga is also here. Johnston Asava says, good morning, team, getting you live, loud and clear from Taveta. Eunice Okello says, good morning. Sugar and Spice and everything nice. Tomundiek says, good morning as well. Teddy Mengo is also here. Where? Many people are online. Let me go through them really quickly. Matthew Kidara says, good morning. Bish says, good morning, Watu wa Merima. People in the mountain are being greeted. Simon Weho says, good morning, locked as always. My Ifoma looking beautiful as always. Ifoma would be me. Good morning, Eric. Big up from Nanyuki, another place I must go soon. Carol Nawa Anatupenda Sana. Good morning to you, Carol. Sing it. Yes, we'll sing it. Good morning. Ndu should give Eric a Nigerian kitendawili. We test his wits for fun. What is kitendawili?
Riddle.
A riddle.
Kitendawili.
Oh. Kitendawili is a riddle. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you this one. It's not a riddle per se, but let's see if you can figure it out.
Riddle me this one.
Let me riddle you this.
Yeah.
Trouble they sleep, monkey go wake 'em. Think about it as I say good morning to the
Trouble they sleep,
monkey go wake 'em.
Monkey do wake 'em.
Go wake 'em.
Oh, go wake 'em.
Bernard is here, says, from Russia with love. Was that not a James Bond movie? Yes, it was, actually. It was a good one. Winfred and your political hygiene. Thank you for reminding this man some basic words. Sylvester Kengo says, good morning. Deputy Speaker, the boss herself, has confirmed Rigathi is going home.
Yep.
Wololo ya ye. Bernard is here. Gypsy Corner is also tuned in. My Prince is also here. Says, William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua are joined at the hip. In other words, if he's staying, he's staying. If he's going,
wakwende wote.
Joe Mutua says, Eric, I should tell you.
Tell
he's
me.
He's not happy.
Why?
He says he tries to tune into YouTube, but it's not working. But you're here on YouTube. So I don't understand. But I've passed the message.
Okay. Pole sana, Mutua.
Everybody, good morning.
Karibuni sana. The proverbs for this week are from Senegal. All right. 3 kinds of people die poor: those who divorce, those who incur debt, and those who move around too much.
3
kinds of people die poor: those who divorce, those who incur debt, and those who move around too much.
So
kutangatanga unakufa maskini.
So you should be married, sit down in your house, and just be eating money.
And don't tangatanga.
And don't just be jumping everywhere.
Moving around too much. I don't know whether it's in marriage or it's just in life.
I think generally.
It's a general,
the rule would apply across board.
Same rule?
Yeah.
Okay. Tangatanga, die poor.
Kaa chini, place moja, live rich. Yeah.
Be rich. Sawa. Headlines.
Headlines in the front page of the Standard this morning. DP's troubles pile as leaders aim for spoils. They are spoils. Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana wants the Senate to censure the Deputy President, even as senior Mount Kenya leaders position themselves should the looming impeachment idea materialize and vacancies occur. You know, it's like there's this animal in the desert, usually in the dry parts, right? Obviously desert. It's called a meerkat. And so when there's some action, they're usually living in their holes, yeah? So when there's some action, you just see them popping out. Pah! Looking around to see
that's
what
when they come
eat.
out, yes.
These people here.
Scavenging, sort of. Like they're just waiting for opportunity.
Waiting for action. Then they say, hey, I'm here.
Tuko up?
Yeah.
What have you called Mugatana, surely?
Watch her too.
Okay.
Court allows DPP to bend the rules in terror case. That headline is very interesting. But we'll look at it. Banks rush to observe spying rules. Okay.
All right.
Tempest flare as Mbadi is pushed on Adani deal. More. That session was quite something. Edwin Sifuna came out, guns blazing. Okoh Mtata was there. Richard Onyonka was there. Everybody said, this one, we're going to show you. And it was interesting because it was not just about the Adani deal. There was more. There was more, obviously.
There was more playing out.
Come on.
There was more playing out.
Definitely.
But I think...
It was... let's see. Tender wars killing at heart of Apex Hospital woes. Botched billion-shilling ICT contract. Protracted leadership disputes threaten to bring down the country's premier medical institution. But why now? What's going on? Austerity? State used to... Hey, my heart. State used 27.34 billion shillings on travel. Yani kupanda ndege. Kupanda gari na kushuka.
Yeah.
We've not eaten. We've not slept. We have just 27.34 billion shillings.
On travel. Sawa.
Yeah. On the front page of The Nation this morning, this is the number we're looking at. 720 million jobs fraud suspect who was in Ruto Germany trip.
Okay.
Although he is not part of President William Ruto's recent delegation to Germany,
it's important to start there.
Sign labor agreements, Mr. Caesar Wagishero Kingori, alias Shrewd of Vintmark Travel Agency Limited, managed to find his way to Berlin.
The company is called what?
Shrewd of Vintmark.
Very nice.
I love it. Somehow managed to find his way to Berlin, even though he didn't travel on the entourage. While he was hobnobbing with leaders at meetings on overseas work opportunities, he left a trail of victims in his job's racket back home, where investigators have summoned him for questioning. Varsity staff vowed to go on pay. No, sorry. Varsity staff vowed to go on strike without pay, and they say we will not be cowed. And there's a guy now being roughed up there by somebody. Testing the waters. What will it take to impeach Gachagua? There's a story here in the Healthy Nation of a woman who's had 20 miscarriages.
What?
And one miracle.
20 miscarriages.
20.
Whoa.
My goodness.
Whoa. And one miracle.
One miracle. So obviously she has a baby. So I mean, that's amazing.
Wow.
Badi, our 22 conditions for the Adani JKIA deal. He says, look, it's not just a walk in the park like you guys are making it seem. We actually put some things down on the table. And it's just interesting to see very many people weigh in at this point as to what it would be. Who is this senator who said, no, I have to look and see. No, it's not senator, it's member of parliament, Nelson Koech, Belgut MP, who said, no, you guys, just calm down. We have to look at all these things properly. If it doesn't meet the mark, then, won't do it. So just calm down.
Relax. Have to just sign, Bado.
Let's take it easy, man.
Okay, Business Daily. Regulator stopped from fixing car insurance prices. The Court of Appeal has blocked the Insurance Regulatory Authority from setting minimum premium prices for motor vehicle insurance premiums. For motor vehicle insurance, saving customers from a near doubling of underwriting fees. The court found that the motor insurance guidelines issued in 2009 by the IRA, which set the minimum premium 7% of the value of a vehicle against the prevailing industry minimum of 4%, were irrational, unreasonable, and disproportionate.
Okay.
Sasa nikusema, sisi hapana chukua 7% anymore. Sisi nasichukua hata hiyo 4%. Okay? Haya. Judge backs office Romans, warns employer against interfering. The Employment and Labor Relations Court, remember they had an event last week where they were looking at how we can do better. This is how they can do better. The Employment and Labor Relations Court has ruled that romantic relationships between employees are lawful and barred employers from implementing policies or laws that interfere with matters of the heart. In a landmark judgment in a case involving employees of the security firm G4S, the court cautioned employers against meddling in workplace romances, warning that such interference could amount to a violation of employees' privacy rights. Why can't
I love who I want to love?
Yes.
Just because we work together doesn't mean we can't.
Yes. Okay, and this is not to be confused with harassment.
No, very different.
Yes. Higher. Uproar as mining application fees raised 9-fold. Gaifafa. Yesterday we were saying how many applicants did not get? Was it 90% of applicants?
Yes.
Applications were rejected. Now, Kenya has raised the application fees for large-scale miners and prospectors 9-fold and recruited more inspectors in a bid to keep away speculators. We don't want speculators. Stay away.
No, stay away.
Okay? Counties go 2 months with no new exchequer funds. Since July started, not a single shilling has gone to the counties. They have endured the first 2 months of the 2024-2025 financial year without fresh exchequer funding as Parliament dragged the legislation anchoring fresh disbursements. Oh yeah, you know what? Kara has to be dealt with.
Yep.
Okay. Safaricom avoids price war with Starlink. Safaricom has avoided a price war with Starlink and instead raised its home fiber internet speeds by up to 5 times in efforts to guard its customer base. Oh, that's why my internet was slow this weekend.
Yeah, it's been doing a thing.
Because they were raising the speeds 5 times.
That's why it was slow. And why yesterday even streaming was an issue. Okay.
Bamburi share price falls 22%. There's a guy who wants to buy this Bamburi. There's a Tanzania guy and there's a guy under insolvency hapa in Athi River. Okay? 2 of them. The Bamburi share has shed 22.4% in trading yesterday at the NSE following the closure of the firm's shareholder register for a special dividend on Friday. On the Star, top right-hand corner in teal green. Free copy of the Star and MyGov. Today is Tuesday, so this is the day when the government is advertising all its work, and it's here on the pullout called MyGov, not for sale. Okay? Kama unatafuta serikali kupatia kazi, natafuta the Star. Iko na kasi. Lower headlines, no mercy. Tharaka Nithi beast who beat his grandparents senseless jailed for life. Beat his grandparents senseless. Broad-based politics, Ruto and Raila deal, why first-time governors are likely to have an edge. Neurosurgical camp teenagers hope to walk again renewed as medics transform lives in Kisumu. Bang in the middle of the paper.
Well done.
The central photo today is actually a three-piece photo. We have the photo of Kakamega Governor Fernandes Barasa. We have the photo of Nakuru Governor Susan Keheka. And you cannot have photos of governors on the front page of the paper and not have Bungoma Governor Kenneth Lusaka. So he's there.
After all, they do have 300 or something.
Counties burnt 10 billion shillings on luxury fuel in a year. The extravagant expenditures are claimed under operations and maintenance. Some 37 devolved units spent 5.12 billion shillings on hospitality alone. Mandasi, 5 billion shillings.
In 1 year?
Yeah.
That's a lot of mandazis, man.
Mandas.
Hey, hapana.
Now, the companies that should be now benefiting, Unga Limited. These ones who make
Sugar.
Okay? Hii makambuni natengeneza sausage. Kina Farmer's Choice and the others. Okay?
Watu ambao wanatengeneza samosa.
Watu ambao wanatengeneza majani chai. Ketepa. Kina Ketepa and those ones. 5 billion shillings. Okay? We'll look at those headlines.
Very fast.
Let's just take that break. You tell us about traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Is it building where you are this morning? A quick look at what's coming off of the Thika Superhighway, always a port of call, and there's just a little bit of it coming into the city. Of course, you get to Survey, it's going to slow down a tad because it's busy. What else are we looking at? Traffic then coming off of Kangunda Road is going to touch a little bit on Outer Ring. And let's look on the other side of things where there's traffic starting to build on Ngong Road. Nothing much happening coming off Naivasha Road, but Ngong Road is busy as you get into the city. And also we're looking at traffic then coming off of Waiyaki Way. Just a little bit of that. And on the northern bypass, there's some traffic that's going to bring you through towards Kiambu Road. But again, still slim pickings, and we're all starting right about now. Let's see what happens as we get into traffic hour. We'll talk on Spice FM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So, let me tell you about this guy. I know you want, there are many, but we're not talking about Gachagua for now.
Okay.
720 million shillings is a lot of money.
Yes.
Okay? There's a fella who is said to be alleged to be behind this whole job fraud.
Okay.
That these things are still happening is just crazy. Now, what is alleged? 150,000 shillings is the amount desperate job seekers were paying Vintmark travel agencies. Shrewd Vintmark. So you want a job, you pay 150,000.
The company is called Shrewd.
Shrewd of Vintmark. Tower.
Okay.
So you're looking for a job, you want to go to the abroad. You pay 150k. Then you would assume that he gets your job, right? Well, no. Hundreds of Mr. Caesar Kingori's victims, Kenyans and foreigners included, have recorded statements with detectives, but efforts to have their money refunded have hit a brick wall. Of course, what did you expect? And so you wonder, how exactly did this happen in 2024? It did. Now, let me tell you how. The name of Caesar Wagisheru Kingori alias Shrewd had first cropped up in August last year during an investigation into 600 million shilling jobs, a racket linked to a flashy city pastor.
I remember
Remember that story? Now, at the time, the focus of the probe was Mr. James Wajohi of Jesus Culture Ministries Church. He was accused of collecting millions of shillings from thousands of job seekers for overseas jobs that never materialized. Now, those who paid Mr. Wajohi with fees ranging between 100,000 and 140,000 each were subsequently slapped with visa bans by the Canadian Embassy in Kenya after their applications were found to have falsified information. So you see, you pay, then the guy does everything for you. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations has since forwarded files to the Director of Public Prosecutions, recommending Mr. Wanjohi's prosecution alongside another suspect, Mr. Alphonse Kioko of Amble Beginnings Consult. These names are very interesting.
His name is Kioko. His company is called Amble.
Amble. Jeez.
Amble Beginnings.
No, but
spell Amble, please.
It's not the Amble you're thinking. It's actually Amble. A-M-B-L-E, not Amble. Hey, okay. Amble. Actually, actuary. Actuary. He could have meant humble.
It's Amble Beginnings.
Humble. Here I am speaking English. Okay. Humble, Amble, Beginnings Consult. He's accused of defrauding thousands of job seekers, 890 million shillings.
Oh, Amble
guy now, Amble Kioko.
Where?
Oh, Kioko Amble. Now is when it has clicked. Sorry. In the course of these investigations, there were also complaints against Mr. Kingori, then a budding job recruiter. But most of his victims who had come forward subsequently declined interviews, citing promises that they would get refunds. However, they never got their cash back, and instead the complaints against Mr. Kingori and his firm, Vintmark Travel Agency Limited, had been mounting at the DCI.
Wow.
Vintmark operates from Kanindia House on Loiter Street in Nairobi Central Business District. Mr. Kingori's emissaries had said he was contemplating refunding the money to his victims. He was contemplating.
Yeah.
Adding that the publication of his story would dampen upcoming recruitment drives, especially with new openings coming up in Germany, where he is eyeing allocations from the government. Okay, so riddle me this. You've got thousands of people who've paid you money, you've not given them jobs. So now what you're worried about is that putting this story out in the public is going to dampen your chances of getting more people to pick up jobs that are coming up in Germany. Okay. The story combed through hundreds of witness statements filed at DCI by Kenyans and foreigners who complain that they have collectively lost close to 720 million shillings after they bought into the firm's marketing strategies on TikTok and other social media platforms. In the world of employment agencies, Kingori is nicknamed Shrewd, perhaps given his aggressiveness to position himself close to power and push through his business interests. Although he was not officially part of the delegation that accompanied President William Ruto to Germany to sign labour agreements, he found his way to Berlin during the presidential visit on the 13th and 14th of September. And after even posed for a photo with Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua, you see,
tulikuwa Germany.
Tulikuwa tunawatafuta kazi. Lipa tu uende. He was a sideline of the signing of the Comprehensive Migration and Mobility Partnership Agreement between Kenya and Germany, which President Ruto explained provides various pathways for Kenyans to work and train in Kenya and Germany. Besides Dr. Mutua, others who accompanied the president were Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, ODM leader Raila Odinga, who is Kenya's candidate for the AUC chair, etc., etc. But so what has happened now is that he's said to have exploited Ruto's Germany tour, and he's now trying to get more people.
Still in business.
I
mean, he hasn't been taken to court.
No.
Okay. So there's investigations going on. There's no action that's been taken. His company has not been frozen. His company has not been registered. He has not been declared unfit to run this business. So, I mean, I can't say that because now there's an investigation, now I close my business. No. Because I have, probably he says, I've got an explanation to give. Even if you take me to court, I'll have a defense. So until then, I'm innocent.
And I have every intention of paying these people back their money.
Yeah. I wonder though, what's the connection now with the other guys in Amble Beginnings? But then how do you spell this Amble?
A-M-B-L-E.
Amble is A-M-B-L-E.
Yeah.
Amble and Beginnings.
But you know what Amble is?
We have to think of what does that Amble mean?
Amble as a word, it means to walk. You're just kind of ambling down. You're just walking carelessly. That's what it means. So I doubt that's the look.
Amble Beginnings.
In this case, I think Kioko meant to say humble beginnings. I'm ambling down the street, but in this case, it's humble beginnings.
No,
you understand?
Kioko is an humble man.
He's an humble man. Okay.
So, basically what this story is highlighting here, because there are more others, if you're looking at other recruiters and other victims and other people who say, you know what, I paid money to someone and I've not gotten, is the issue that the National Employment Authority ought to be dealing with.
Yes.
Okay? This is the body that registers all these jobs recruitment agencies, whether they are taking it to the Middle East, to Canada, to Australia, to New Zealand, to Germany, to the UK, wherever. Now, the National Employment Authority is just a quiet body there that just says that we took on our website, Mwangalia website. How much sensitization has NEA done? How much? Do you know who heads the NEA? Do you know anybody who works at the NEA?
No.
Yeah.
No.
This is when the National Employment Authority, you're like, this was a brilliant idea.
However, it's not
to
functional.
establish this authority, because its job was not just to talk about jobs abroad. It was just basically to create that link between industry and those that are seeking employment locally and abroad. That was the idea when Johnson Sakaja took that bill through the National Assembly and it passed and it became law and the authority was created. That was the idea. Have a database of people and their skill, and then have a database of employers and what they're looking for, and then it helps you to start matching them. NEA is just there saying that it's registered recruitment agencies. If you go to the website and confirm whether it has been registered or not. How many people are going across the country? How many know that this is what they're supposed to do?
No, nobody does.
The National Employment Authority, what does it do?
But can you imagine just how busy the National Employment Authority actually could be? Yes. Look at the thousands of people who've paid 100,000 shillings, for example, to some fella in humble beginnings to get a job, and then they never got their thing. Can you imagine if this information was taken right to the doorstep of NEA, and these guys could actually deal with this thing? Because people are looking for these positions, and they're just looking for a match, person and their skills and talent to this position, which exists.
Yes.
It exists.
Both exist. Skill exists. Opportunity exists.
Your job is actually bring them together. I actually think, to an extent, that if we saw the NEA productive to the level that it was supposed to be, we would not be having these issues.
We wouldn't.
Because people are desperate, number one. People will do anything to get a job outside the country or within the country.
Yep.
Look at the kind of money that has been spent. 890 million.
Yep.
720 million. Over 1 billion shillings. Huh? Yes, over 1 billion shillings that people are spending to get jobs, and then that money just goes.
Yes.
Jobless, moneyless.
What we should be hearing, for example, right now, is we should be hearing the National Employment Authority coming out to say such and such an recruitment agency has flouted some basic regulations, so we are deregistering it. This is what the action we are taking. People, please do not engage with this one. This is not a registered entity, and so on and so forth.
Hey.
Okay? National Employment Authority is just somewhere sitting. I don't even know whether it's sitting. It doesn't even have the need to sit. It's lying down. Oh no, it's asleep.
It's asleep,
oh
and
my
then it
God.
opens one eye. It's like that proverbial dog that sits in the compound that's supposed to be
Wakes
guarding
up at the
gate.
beginning of the year.
Wakes up and looks and goes, oh, and then it goes back to sleep.
Then it continues to sleep in.
Raises one ear halfway. That's what's happening.
Brad day. Let's talk about counties burning 10 billion shillings on hospitality and fuel.
Yes, let's. Fuel.
Fresh details have emerged of massive wastage and extravagance in the counties at a time when the devolved units are struggling to pay salaries and provide services. Days after revelations on how counties officials spent 17B on travel, it's emerging now that the regional government spent more than 10B on non-essentials. In the expenditure reports for the counties in the last financial year, 37 units spent 5.12 billion shillings on hospitality alone. The remaining 10 counties did not provide detailed amounts spent on hospitality during the period. Hospitality includes catering services for county staff and visitors. What is catering services, Lindu?
Food.
Karibu sana kunywa chai.
Egg station.
Utakunywa chai?
Utakunywa chai.
That one. Unangojea gavana ako busy. Utakunywa chai?
Then anarudi.
Waziri ameenda meeting kidogo. Utakunywa chai? In addition, 34 counties that provided data spent 3 billion shillings to fuel their fleet of vehicles for top officers. 3 billion shillings on fuel for top officers. How many top officers are we talking about? This is the governors, the deputy governors, the CECs, the chief officers, directors, and service vehicles such as garbage trucks and inspectorate vans. The wastage, extravagance, and larger-than-life lifestyle we are seeing in counties, especially among some governors, is worrying. Further, the county spent more than 2.7 billion shillings on legal services despite establishing legal departments headed by county attorneys. This is the controller of budget saying it. She is calling it wastage, extravagance, larger-than-life lifestyle.
Of county bosses?
Yes,
okay.
In the counties. She said, for example, why should counties spend 2 billion shillings to hire lawyers, and yet there's a guy who works in that office called county attorney? He's the attorney general of the county.
It's his job.
That's the job.
To represent.
And the county attorney's office should be staffed with lawyers, deal with matters. Munaenda koti 2 billion. The devolved units also spent billions on training and insurance. The new details could put the governors, some who have not paid their employees for months, on the spot. According to the report, the governor of Kakamega, Fernandez Baraza, Susan Keheka of Nakuru, and Kenneth Lusaka of Bungoma spent the highest amount on chai mandas na sausage. Okay, tuweke ngwashe na ndoma.
Maybe there was a lunch or two in there.
Sawa. Tuweke chapati na nini na madondo. Also on the list of big spenders on hospitality are Godana Dado's Tana River, Patrick Ntutu's Narok, and Julius Malombe's Kitui, which spent 257 million. That is in Tana River. 247 million in Narok. And Kitui spent 208.63 million shillings.
I'm sorry. I have to ask.
I
have to ask. Is it not the same counties? I think even yesterday, the governor told us about how, receiving money from the treasury is an issue sometimes.
They have not received money this year or yet. Okay?
But
hiyo pesa ikikuja,
wanakula kwanza.
Rudishia mwile shukrani.
That's what I'm wondering.
Our friend Abdul Somad, the Sheriff Nasir Mombasa, 210.72 million shillings. Sasa
on hospitality.
Kule chai na kule mandazi ni mahamri.
Alafu ukifika jioni tuna bado nangoja governor mshikaki.
Mshikaki. Nasikia na vitumbua hivi, kuna vitumbua hivi.
For goodness sake.
Nasikia bana.
Hatuna shida ya pesa.
Shida gani bana?
I keep telling you.
In Machakos here. 193 million shillings on hospitality.
No, it's not funny. Actually it's not funny.
Pale 177 million shillings. Na Nyeri pale 177 million. Nandi 124 million. Nyadarua 162 million. As in 100 million shillings is nothing.
It's nothing. If you're not doing 100 million seems to be the pass mark.
Yeah.
As in, come on.
Basically, if you just break it down, you're talking about 10 million shillings a month.
Yeah.
And not across the county. This is just hospitality. Of course, it's at the headquarters.
For goodness sake.
You don't expect that you ukienda kuvisit at his county administrator pale kwa ward utapewa tichai na mandazi kwa county admin. Ward admin, nothing. Ward admin office, nothing. If you come to the headquarters.
Hapa ndio home.
Yes.
Lazima tukuonyeshe unakuja mahali. Look, let me tell you something.
That
is why I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. You see these people who are striking? Yeah, because it tells. You see university lecturers striking. Doctors striking. Nurses who went on strike. Clinical officers doing their thing. JSS teacher says it can never be us. I don't blame them. And that is why
when you look at this and you wonder,
you can eat mandazi to 100 million shillings. Okay, I mean that's what we're talking about.
It's mandazi.
It's mandazi.
Yeah.
100 million shillings. And somebody is telling you, imagine just pay me an extra 16,000 shillings so that I can survive.
No, KEMSA is saying you owe us 40 million shillings so that we can provide.
And you've spent 100 million plus shillings eating, putting fuel in your car. We don't know where you went for that thing. That's why when these folks go on strike, I say, shikilia tu hapo, because you will find the money. ECD teachers. Last year, how much was their salary raised by? 1,320 shillings. And they're paid by the county. This same county that is using money to go and eat mandazi. 1,320 shillings. That's the amount you raise. And now how much do ECD teachers earn? Now they earn a whopping 9,000 bob.
When you look at all these figures, that's what adds up to recurrent expenditure. when the recurrent expenditure is a higher percentage than it ought to be, it's because we are doing such kind of things.
Imagine it's criminal.
Oh, we fuel the governor's car. Sijui umemlipia sijui ETC hapa kwa expressway. Na ni governor wa Nandi. Umemwekea 100,000 ETC expressway ya Nairobi.
And he's in Nandi working.
I'm not saying that that's what happened, but it's an example, right? And you wouldn't be surprised by that to find that that's what happened. Eh? This guy comes to county COG meetings in Westlands, does not use the expressway, but has paid ETC for expressway. Okay? Because alikuja airport. So anachukuliwa airport, anaingia expressway, anaenda Westlands. Shetani ametembelea Kenya.
No. Imagine it's no.
Alijenga base.
I'm telling you, this one hapana. No.
Someone is asking, who's the least spender? Okay, let me tell you. The Star has broken it down, just to answer that question for purposes of Nini. Bottom 10 spenders on hospitality, Vihiga, 89 million shillings. That's the least spent on China Mandas.
89 million on China Mandas.
Na chapati mandondo. Isiolo, 68 million shillings. Bomet, 68 million. Laikipia, 51.7 million shillings. West Pokot, 50 million shillings. Homa Bay, 40 million shillings. And the list, 33 million shillings in the Rakanidi.
It's a small.
It's kidogo tu. In Rakanidi. Yeah. Taita Taveta, 35 million shillings. And Mandera, 39 million shillings. Let a story. Bring story. Ama, tell us about this one of romance, bwana.
It's on which page again?
It's on page, top page, front page of the Business Daily. I tell you.
Let's go.
In a landmark case, judgment in a case involving employees of the security company G4S, the court cautioned employers against meddling in workplace romance, warning that such interference could amount to a violation of employees' privacy rights. The purpose of a sexual harassment policy is not to police romantic relationships or prohibit marriages and families between consenting employees. Romantic relationships at the workplace must be left to run their natural course. It's a harebrained law or policy that seeks to outlaw the affairs of the heart. That is what Justice James Rika said in his decision on September 20th. Additionally, the court declared G4S sexual harassment policy unconstitutional for interfering with employees' private lives. The judgment follows a complaint lodged by Mark Ngoge Mwaura, who accused G4S of unfairly terminating his employment. He was fired, can you imagine? Yeah? Mwaura's career with G4S began in 2000 as a management trainee. 20 years later, he had risen through the ranks to become a regional operations manager in Nairobi, earning a monthly salary of 270,000 shillings. However, in 2020, his employment was terminated after he was accused of sexually harassing a subordinate, Anne Mukami, and orchestrating her irregular transfer to a new workstation with better benefits. Represented by lawyer Cynthia Kwamboka, Mwaura argued that he had been unfairly dismissed. He recounted being forced to undergo a DNA test to establish whether he fathered Mukami's child. The test came back negative, yet G4S proceeded to terminate his contract over sexual harassment allegations. Mwaura claimed that his relationship with Mukami lasted only 2 months and it had ended long before her transfer. Kwamboka further noted that her client was unaware of G4S's sexual harassment policy and that he only learnt about it after he had been dismissed. But the judge basically here is saying sexual harassment is one thing. Romantic relationships is a different thing. You cannot say it now because these two people met here and they've started working. One of you must leave the company.
No.
Because that's what many policies say.
Why? I don't agree with that.
That you have met, you formed a relationship, we did not know about it, now we're here at the wedding. Choose who's leaving.
Why?
One of you must leave.
What stops your work
Our
from
policy.
What stops the work from being done just because you're married?
Exactly.
Or hooking up or whatever.
Exactly.
Does it stop your work from happening?
We notice that you two are talking to each other too much. Are you guys in a relationship? HR comes in and says, policy. You're being told that's a harebrained policy. 7 a.m. news time.
Spice up your life.
President William Ruto has congratulated Abdelmajid Tebboune for his re-election as president of Algeria. In a message posted on X, Ruto said the resounding victory highlights not only Tebboune's unwavering dedication and visionary leadership, but also serves as a reflection of the respect and trust he has cultivated among the people of Algeria. Tebboune secured a second term with 84.3% of the vote. And two former senior officials from West Pokot County Government have been arrested by EACC for embezzling 296 million shillings in bursary funds will today be arraigned before the Eldoret Anti-Corruption Court. The arrests are the result of investigations into allegations of corruption involving the theft of public funds intended to help low-income students in the county. According to EACC sources, misappropriation took place between the 2017-2018 and 2021-2022 fiscal years. Those arrested include Mrs. Mary Ngorikas, the former Chief Officer of Education, and Mr. Matthew Arusio, the former County Director of Bursary. National Assembly Deputy Speaker Gladys Boshule has voiced support for the censure motion aimed at evaluating the conduct of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Shule says that she will personally oversee the process.
Mimi mwenyewe nitakupeleka nyumbani. I am putting you Rigathi Gachagua on notice. You are going to be impeached. I can confirm that to you today, and I shall be in charge of that impeachment myself.
Meanwhile, Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli has criticized Gachagua's actions, suggesting that he should face arrest for undermining the president.
Deputy President should be an appointee of the president, not a running mate. Because when he becomes a running mate, he feels he's also president. President William Samoei Ruto is out of the country and is on top of his car. Now he's the real president, misleading people, misguiding the nation. He must be arrested. A deputy president is supposed to play fool. He's supposed to be just, not even to be heard.
The Seven Kamsa's Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana, who submitted the censure motion to the Senate, has criticized the Deputy President over his statements since assuming office. He cited instances where Gachagua made comments related to employment opportunities for Kenyans in public service, the allocation of resources to devolved units, and allegedly incited segments of the population to disregard lawful directives from county governments.
Is this constitution really helping us? That once you are elected as a deputy president or a deputy governor, you start thinking, I'm a co-governor or I'm a co-president. Are we doing the right things? If I'm just to hazard, and I'm not in the mind of President Ruto, I'm not in the mind of any governor in this republic. I'm not even a governor. But if I was a governor today, if I was a president today, there's an area where I was born. I would want to do more for that area. But I would never, as a governor or as a president, stand in front of people and say, this area, I am fighting for this area. What happened to the office, oath of office that you took? What happened to the constitution?
This latest political assault on Gachagua follows his recent insinuations that President William Ruto is implicated in his current challenges. And finally, on the international scene, at least 30 decomposing bodies have been found on a boat off the coast of Senegal. Military authorities say the Navy was informed of a vessel that was adrift about 70 kilometers from the capital, Dakar. They further said that there has been a recent increase in migrants setting off from Senegal for Spain's Canary Islands, a journey of more than 1,500 kilometers across the Atlantic Ocean. Given how decomposed the bodies were, the migrants were probably adrift on the Atlantic Ocean for many days before fishermen found them. That's the news wire. I'm Le Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Okay, so let's see what's happening now as we look at the streets. Probably seen that traffic is going to build as we come off the Thika Superhighway, and that's for sure. Coming in from Survey, it is heavy. And even before that, coming in from Githurai all the way through towards Garden City, past Kahawa, traffic today is building, and we're at a standstill in some points. You'll definitely be at a standstill when you get to Survey out towards the city. It's also very heavy as you're coming in from Waiaki Way towards Chiromo, and Limuru Road is starting to build. Let's look into the CBD, where it's all coming in from Uhuru Gardens or Langata Road out towards Raila Odinga Way through towards Uhuru Highway. That's very busy. Interestingly enough, Jogo Road is not looking too bad today. It's flowing freely, and it's starting to build on the Eastern Bypass heading towards Outer Ring, or in this case through towards North Airport Road. So we're getting into traffic hour soon. Let's see what it looks like as we go ahead. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 7, and thank you very much for tuning in. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The Situation Room is live on SpiceFM, on KTN, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, on Radio Garden. Where else? Where do
you want it to be?
Think of anywhere else, and we will be there. Wherever you are, tuned in across the globe, asante sana. Good day to you. It's Tuesday in some parts of the world. It's Monday in some others. It's, heading almost Wednesday in other parts of the world. Whatever, it's okay. Kenya's biggest conversation broadcast to everybody. If you're in the country, even those are outside of the country, you'll be coming back soon. And you're thinking, I want to get home and call immediately from the airport. And then you come and you call. And even before you said, insufficient credit. Surely. Now that time you didn't have M-Pesa's balance in your wallet. You're
already outside.
Yes. And you're outside, you're stranded.
They wouldn't let you go back inside the thing.
Oh no. So how do you sort yourself out?
See now, if you rewind a couple of days before that, what you would have done to be able to sort yourself out is that you would have, on this your mobile, dialed star 544 hash. What would have happened? You would have seen a list. On that list, there's a number 4. Next to that number 4 is something that says go monthly. You click on the number 4, it comes back to you. And then you see another menu, and then you see all in one. All in one means what? All in one means you will never have to hear that teet, teet, teet again. You're at the airport, you'll be able to call your cab because
you're sorted.
1,000 minutes of talking, 2,000 SMSs, 17 GB of data, free WhatsApp, all of those things because you selected the one for 2,000 bob. You can get those things.
Yeah.
And Safaricom has understood that you don't want to be at the airport looking for a cab and you can't find one, or calling somebody who can pick you up and you can't reach them, or trying to send a message on WhatsApp and it doesn't happen, or trying to even look for the website of the person.
Nothing.
It will never happen again because you selected the all-in-one option with Safaricom, and you can go monthly for 30 days. You have access to all of these great things, and you never have to be stranded again. Freedom, I'm telling you, is what you buy. Dial today. We could also help you with 3,000 shillings. You know why? If you dial that and you send us a screenshot of how you subscribe to the Go Monthly All-in-One option, we could give you 3,000 shillings.
Kabisa? Like that. Wanjiru Gekonyo is looking at you like, hi.
It's actually true.
Do not ask me what was going through my mind. There is a term called SAI, socially accountable investing. Companies in Kenya need to invest accountably and not to invest in dodgy deals. Yes, so that is what was going through my mind because of some of the names.
You have gone elsewhere. We are talking about
Inabidi. It is my reality.
So now we are telling
you know, life is joined like this.
So you know, like
my life in the morning and in the evening is joined to my circumstances at work, at home.
Yes.
So ukisikia kitu, you must remember accountability applies to all the time.
Okay, so lakini now see now me when you and me were talking on the phone, would you want the credit to finish?
No, I don't want it to finish, but I might be choosing my provider in a discerning manner because there are issues that have come to my attention
provider will not sort
that
you out like
we
this.
must deal with. Yes. I will not go beyond that because
welcome.
I value you, but yes, itabidi. We need to look at things.
Welcome, Wanjiru. How are you doing?
I am very well.
Okay.
I'm well in the Gen Z era because we're in the Gen Z era. We are remembering the fallen heroes. We are remembering those who are still abducted. I think maybe there is 35 people not accounted for. We are remembering those not accounted for. Their bodies in the mortuary that have not gone through the due processing because of a kind of go slow and cover up. We are remembering that we have a constitution. We're a constitutional democracy and we have leaders who have forgotten that. But despite that, we stand strong and we say viva, power to the people all the time.
Very good. Now, Wanjiru is a transformative governance advocate.
Exactly.
And a coach.
Yes.
Harambee Stars ama
How are they performing? I can own them or
which
not.
Which team are you coaching?
I can't say. Who is top of the league so that I can own that one?
Arsenal.
Don't listen to you.
Welcome, though, Wanjiru.
Thank you very much.
City says hi. He said hi yesterday. Right now he's sleeping.
Tell him my heart is broken.
He is spending his time chilling.
Tell him my heart is broken. We needed to discuss these issues.
He gave me the proverb to give you.
All
the
right.
proverbs for this week are from Senegal. 3 kinds of people die poor. Those who divorce, those who incur debt, and those who move around too much.
CT added that last bit. Okay.
What do you think?
Well, Senegal is a country that has recently gone through a revolution. And they have, I think, a millennial for president, rejected the old guard. And so they're a country we are watching to see how that will develop. Financial literacy is real, man. And so I'll take this. I'll take it. Think about it and see what's applicable and what can be done about it. This one, I'm not going beyond that. When it comes to finances, I'm like, ready to be taught.
That one you agree?
I haven't agreed, ready to be taught. Yes,
moving around too much?
Yes, that one might not apply to me, but it applies to certain parties in our country. Yes. And so we are poor because there are certain people who insist on moving around everywhere, doing nothing useful. Yes, other than making too much noise. So that one I vouch for.
And staying married.
And divorce.
It depends. If you manage to take half or take more than half, then you should be okay.
Sit down in one place.
You should be okay. And it depends on who you married. Yes. Sometimes divorce you might be divorcing Anyway, let me not be flippant about it. Marriage is not about just finances.
So, your name again popped up in the news last week from the Court of Appeal. Big decision. NGCDF, 3 judges of the Court of Appeal say this thing, NG, unconstitutional. Then, in fact, we remembered many years before it became NGCDF, it was CDF, and Wanjiru Gekonyo and others had gone to court and it had been declared unconstitutional. Now, this one has been declared. What is unconstitutional this time?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's take a step back.
Yes.
How did we end up in the Court of Appeal? Who took who to the Court of Appeal?
Where to start? Other than to say that advocacy, activism, transformation is, you play the long game. Because we first went to court in 2011 on the CDF. And like you said, in 2013, we got a resounding judgment. Actually, a landmark judgment. And then our parliament, in all their lack of wisdom, decided to challenge the High Court's ruling on the constitutionality of CDF. And our argument was CDF was a good idea in its day, because at that time, development money went to Nairobi and a few other politically connected areas. So there were parts of this country that had no development. So when Muriuki Karoe, the then MP, I think of Kinangop, mooted the CDF, he had a good basis, and he has a very good book where he talks about attending national days and hearing promises about development coming, and it never came. And his people thought he was lying. So a good idea comes at the right time, and CDF was that. But with the passage of the Constitution, this idea of money being spent at the constituency level, money being spent under the care or guidance or patronage or whatever, or chairmanship.
Oversight.
No, they don't. Well, of the MP and undertaking various functions which change depending on the mood of Parliament or depending on the latest court ruling, that was overtaken by devolution, because devolution shares money to all parts of the country. And the role of Parliament then becomes to oversight that and to ensure that the money is well spent and to ensure that the laws of devolution are well crafted.
Yeah.
But when they have a vested interest in their own fund that continues to grow as the budget grows, they are distracted. And you've seen Parliament using CDF to blackmail Treasury. They have a perverse incentive to ensure the budget keeps growing so that their 2.5% of the national budget can keep growing. So it really undermines the functional roles, it undermines separation of powers, it undermines the constitutional design of devolution.
Okay.
So, yeah. So maybe the last point is we used public interest litigation, which was provided for in the Constitution of Kenya. It wasn't there before. But Parliament have used their power of their past, their legislative power, to subvert these rulings. So as we get rulings, they change the law and then kind of say, well, we've changed the law, so now it's okay.
Now we are conforming.
Exactly. But all they are doing is trying to hide this political fund.
Okay.
So CDF is good for local governance, but the role of the MP is a problem and they need to get out. And it needs to be spent either at the national level or at the county level. There is no development unit called the constituency.
Okay. Let me ask, because I think then also it plays heavily on what the court decided a couple of days ago. That we had been told already by the committee that the Member of Parliament actually doesn't play a role in terms of how this fund then will be spent. They may have representation during the meetings, but in terms of deciding how, it's really not within the committee. That the Member of Parliament, but we also see that there is still an amount of influence that is played at that level. Now, knowing that, what has the court then said very clearly then that would quash any of that influence or any of that overarching fear that, if we don't do this, we could be in a spot of trouble from the side of the Member of Parliament?
Yeah. And thanks. The court had to dig in between, it's like hidden in between the lines and in between the dots. So if you look at the ruling, you're actually going to see that the court has taken time to unpack the role of the Member of Parliament. So first of all, like I said, they have said that the constituency is not a unit of development. So appropriating money...
This is according to the Constitution?
Yes, because we have 2 levels of government.
Okay.
We don't have 3. And so MPs with the CDF, even the Roads Maintenance Levy Fund, and if you've been listening to them, there are other funds they've been trying to build around this constituency level. And the court has told them repeatedly that the constituency is not a unit of development. It is an electoral unit. It's not an administrative development unit. The other thing is, in this intricate structure where they appoint certain members to the committee, the court has then gone in and said that committee is an implementation body. So to the extent that the Member of Parliament is appointing, then that also constitutes being part of implementation. And members of Parliament have a representative role, they have a legislative role, they have an oversight role. They do not have an implementation role, so that you have separation of powers.
Okay.
So the court has said there is a separation. There needs to be a separation between the executive, between the judiciary, and between parliament.
Okay.
So that in our democracy, you have checks and balances. They have also said that when money cannot be appropriated for this NGCDF fund, prior to the division of revenue, because what it means is that national government is using this provision called national interest to hive off money that could go to the counties. So this has been litigated and judged. It was determined also in the Supreme Court with regard to the CDF. But it's parliamentary impunity. Why is Parliament? The question becomes, in fact, you could flip it and say, what problem is Parliament trying to cure?
We'll come into that and see what CDF has done, what arguments we're hearing from those who are in Parliament, those who support CDF. But I just want to take a step back. After the first declaration that CDF was unconstitutional, then there was the rewriting of the law and the redesign of this. It was called NGCDF. So it was the national government saying, we as the national government have development responsibilities to do. And responsibility
we as who?
As national government.
That's a very amorphous term. And the ruling actually says it's a problem to have a fund that is so obscure.
Hold on, let me finish.
In its objects. What do you mean by national government?
There are 2 levels of government.
Do you mean executive?
There are 2 levels of government.
Do you mean the executive or parliament?
Hold on. So there are 2 levels of government.
There are 2 levels of government.
So there's a county government.
Exactly.
And there's a national government. Both have the development functions.
Functional roles.
Yes.
Let's be clear in language.
Okay. Functional roles of development. The national government comes and says, now, for us to, how we want to do our development, we want to take our development down to levels. And let's create the National Government Constituency Development Fund, just to mirror what was there before. That's why they created the NGCDF, right? The NGCDF.
Let's stop there. You're totally misrepresenting.
What happened?
The national government did not create CDF, Parliament did. At no point did national government ever create CDF.
Who took the bill to Parliament?
It was a member of Parliament.
Who?
Like I said, Muriuki Karoe.
CDF. NGCDF. When it was renamed NGCDF,
there was a committee of Parliament headed by Moses Lenoset. I'm wondering whether the first one was by Ekwe Ethuro and then Lenoset, I think, who are the chairs of what is called the constituency fund. It's CFC. There's a constituency fund committee, which is the parliamentary committee that kind of oversights CDF. Now, that committee is the one that is tasked, has reviews the law. It reviews
So that-
the law.
so that's a
It does
committee
the
that-
public engagement.
Yes.
It crafts the law, and then it tables the law. And then,
pass the law.
and then they have a debate inside Parliament about, should we appropriate this money for ourselves?
Or not.
Should we increase the amount? And then they all say yes, and they pass the bill. And then, if you note in our suit, the CS of Treasury and the Attorney General sided with us. They sided with us and said we support the petitioners on this one, that CDF is unconstitutional. So I do not know whose advice Parliament is listening to.
Okay, let's look at...
Not the AGs.
Okay.
And not the National Treasury.
No, the Treasury was with us. For once, we cross hairs with the Treasury quite a lot. But on this one, we were like, yeah, stick to the law.
Okay, so the law is, I hate to say it, but here it goes. The law is very clear now about this, right? Coming from this ruling. But then we also know that there will probably, you can be guaranteed that there will be backlash to this from members of parliament, especially because what it does, we've seen that NGCDF, whether they sit on committees for decision or not, that it allows them to create their own kind of fiefdoms in terms of what then they're able to do. For them to let go of this is going to be a very, very serious fight. What does it portend from where you see? Because I don't imagine that you would have gone to court not taking into consideration the backlash that would come as a result of a ruling like this.
Well, no, I think when there is injustice and injustice prevails or is being advanced, when you have forms of oppression, we have a duty to resist. And when you do in your resistance, of course, you'll do a bit of scenario setting, but you have a duty to resist. You anticipate there will be backlash. The backlash is likely to be more on the judiciary. And we therefore cannot say, well, we can't challenge CDF and ask the judiciary to make to proclaim itself on the constitution for fear of backlash from parliament. That is a national condition of us having parliament and an executive who do not want to who do not subscribe to rule of law. And that is the problem we are trying to cure. That is why Gen Zs were on the street resisting impunity. So the backlash comes with the territory. But more to what you're saying, might we have a scenario where they recraft and keep recrafting? We go to the Supreme Court, because with CDF, we had a good ruling, went to the appeal, not such a good ruling, went to the Supreme Court, had a resounding ruling that killed CDF. But in the meantime, they've then recrafted, they have NGCDF.
Yes.
And they, then now we are in appeal and, expecting...
There's a next step.
The next step.
Still open, the Supreme Court.
Of course it is. But we learned something. Number one is our remedies were crafted very resoundingly. The way this bill, the ruling is crafted, the wording on the termination of this arrangement is replete. I do not believe they have anywhere to hide. Whatever they craft will likely be unconstitutional and contrary to this, because the court went into the detail of into what they called the level of government, the issue of subsidiarity, because they were arguing that, national government can then, undertake its projects. So they've been very clear on the level of government. They've been very clear on subsidiarity. They've been very clear on the functional roles. They've been very clear on separation of powers. They've been very clear that not only the CDF, but other funds like it. So now we go for NGAF, which is a bit touchy because we want money to go into gender. But we don't want that money to go through the women rep or whoever. They're going for the MCA's fund, the Ward Development Fund. And of course that puts to rest the quest for senators to get their own fund. Because the oversight role of Parliament is conducted within Parliament, within the committees. and the committees are well resourced. In fact, members of parliament are well resourced. They have offices, they have constituency offices, they have good salaries, they have all these allowances that allow them to move up and down.
They have budgets for that, for travel and all.
They have budgets to do all their work. So the way we framed the remedies, and we were assisted by Dr. Mutaha Kangu, who is, of course, a devolution expert who has advised us right through. And when we looked at things up to the Supreme Court, we were like, what did we miss? And he helped us develop a paper on remedies, that when you go to the court, you need remedies that assist the court to make a very clear decision. So one, the language of the ruling is clear on the unconstitutionality. It's also clear there is no space. So what we expect to see is a backlash against the court. But that's not only because of CDF. That is going to be because the court has pronounced itself on several of the unconstitutional and irregular schemes of Kenya Kwisha, such as, of course, there was SHIF. SHIF is now, I believe, implemented pending the determination in court. There was the housing levy that had a lot of back and forth. Pardon?
The Finance Act.
Oh, yes, the Finance Act is the big one. So we have a regime that is trying to work outside the law. And, you know, it's hard to understand why. Because the law gives a lot of room to execute whatever development plans you have. But possibly because of the haste to get into deals like this Adani deal, where you bring in people through special purpose or kind of single-sourced PPPs and all this real abuse of our laws. And because Parliament, in its wisdom, enacted a law that allows government to privatize, hey, let's be very clear. Parliament is going to come for the judiciary because we have a regime, the Zakayo regime, that wants to privatize, asset strip, and own assets that belong to Kenya through shadowy companies. This happened with Safaricom during the privatization. There's a company called Mobitelea. And try though we did, and I remember Africog, I remember David D. Speaking up about who holds shares in that company. Because all you need is to take a floundering public asset, sell it off to a private company, get some politically connected people to buy shares in that company, so that they will now become beneficiaries of whatever investment is going to be made. Because in the privatization process, there's also money from government that comes in to facilitate the process. There's also now you have bought shares into a company that is being bought out internationally. So really, you are buying shares into a company for free.
Let's take a break. 27 minutes to 8. Wanjiru Gekonyo is our guest this morning. She's a transformative governance advocate and coach. We are talking about the recent ruling judgment of the Court of Appeal that declared NGCDF unconstitutional. She is among those that were participating in this. So in this Court of Appeal, what were you? Respondent, applicant?
We are the key petitioner.
You are the petitioner in the Court of Appeal?
Right.
Okay. So this is what happened. The court declared it unconstitutional. Now we come back and ask ourselves, so CDF, as is structured presently, is unconstitutional. Do people feel CDF or do they not feel CDF? And then what happens thereafter?
And let me correct, it's the High Court. It's not the Court of Appeal.
It's a High Court.
It's a High Court. This is the High Court.
Yes.
It's a High Court ruling.
Indeed, yes. Okay, back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Kenyans abroad, sending money home should be simple and stress-free. Stay connected back home. Open your Credit Bank Nyumbani Diaspora account today by visiting www.creditbank.co.ke. Just a few clicks and you're all set to send love and support back to your loved ones. And that's not all. Explore a world of possibilities, including investment opportunities. It's fast, easy, and secure, bringing you closer to the moments that matter most. Visit creditbank.co.ke or call +254 70 907 2000 to learn more. Credit Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
The weather with SpiceFM.
13 degrees, partly sunny conditions in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 24, highs of 25 and lows of 13 in a mostly sunny Nakuru at 15. It's 14 and sunny in Nyeri with highs of 24, and we'll see highs of 23 in a sunny Eldoret at 13. It's sunny at 24 in Mombasa with highs of 30 and lows of 23, while at 26 Malindi is sunny with highs of 30. Kisumu is mostly cloudy at 21 with highs of 30 and lows of 20, and at 18 it's sunny in Kakamega with highs of 27 and lows of 16. Kampala is partly sunny at 19 with highs of 27, and we'll see sunny conditions through in Dar es Salaam, highs of 30 and lows of 23. Johannesburg at 8 is sunny, highs of 21 and lows of 8, while Mogadishu at 27 is sunny through Tuesday with highs of 30 and lows of 25. It's 11 degrees and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 22, and Lagos is cloudy at 25 with highs of 30. 32 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 25, coming down to lows of 24.
Sugar and spice and everything nice.
Spice up your life.
All right, traffic on the Eastern Bypass coming through towards North Airport Road around that Cabanas interchange. You're able to get off of that and get onto Mombasa Road without an issue at this point. It's starting to also ease a little bit. No, that's not true. It's actually getting worse on the Thika Superhighway coming in from Kahawa, Sukari through towards Clayworks, out towards Kasarani, and there's traffic through to the Globe Cinema roundabout. Actually just keeps going, so that's heavy traffic there. I don't know what route you'd use if you're already on the Thika Superhighway. You might want to think about outer ring, the longer route to the city, or stick to your guns. And you get into the city at some point, it will reduce. It's also busy on Kiambu Road, and we're looking at Kangunda Road traffic this morning in and outbound as you're trying to touch on outer ring. Jogo Road is starting to build up now, which is strange for this hour, but okay. Uhuru Highway, I beg your pardon, Uhuru Gardens on Langata Road. It's coming in heavy from Langata Road, and it's touching with traffic that's coming off of Magadi Road through towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. So that has already started to pick up. Well, there you have it. We are in traffic hour. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continue. Wanjiru Gekonyo, transformative governance advocate and coach, NGCDF unconstitutional, declared by 3 judges of the High Court. Now, since then, we've seen there are people who said, but we have seen the work of CDF. Actually, even before this judgment, MPs in Parliament had one time had a session where they were saying, look, if we start reducing our budget, it's better that we cut the money that goes to counties. Because these county governors, all we are seeing is just corruption scandals left, right, and center. And look at CDF. Look what CDF has done. Look how many schools CDF has built. Look how many police stations and police posts CDF has built. Look how many children are in school courtesy of CDF bursary. CDF is transformative. You're a transformative governance advocate. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
Yes and no.
In principle?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I agree that CDF is transformative, but as the court says, and as a constitutional democracy, it must fit within the design of the constitution. So I would go back to 2013, when Parliament was redesigning CDF for the first time. What should they have done? Mm-hmm. And what did we ask them to do? We told them, number one, and the court has said it very clearly, that funds follow function. We told them the CDF needs to clarify which function. And if it says CDF is for national functions, because it's a national fund, for instance, education and security, because those are the funds that then have local level, because CDF was designed as a local infrastructure fund, very innovative at the time. So if it was going to go build classrooms and police posts, which it needed to because there is a deficit, why doesn't the law just say that? And then it would be channeled through the county policing authority, which is provided in the Police Act, but has never been operationalized because the Uhuru Ruto government and now the Kenya Kwisha government would not allow, we have to call it what it is. We have to call it what it is.
What it is
would never
Kenya Kwanza.
allow. Well, that's what they call themselves, but what we
that's
see...
That's what is registered.
Well, you can also speak about...
Registered.
This is outcome-based reporting. I'm talking about the outcomes and the impacts on the lives of Kenyans. Kwisha. So one key thing, when you see this brute police force, there was a report in 2016 by IPOA. There is a report from last year, the Maraga Task Force, asking how do we reform our police because it's replete with corruption. Even they know. Because there are huge budgets that go into the security sector, that yet there are parts of this country that aren't policed. We've got command control. We've got a coercive colonial hangover of a police force. I mean, there are young people, young males, especially young urban poor, low-income males, fear the police more than they fear thugs in town, because police shake down people on a good day, let alone the recent protests. So part of the problem we have with Parliament failing to align CDF properly is Parliament needed to have sat and said, okay, we have a new constitution that envisions a police force based on human rights, that protects the people, that is people-centered. What kind of laws do we pass so that we can realize that? That is the role of Parliament. It's not the role of Parliament to say, oh, we now don't have police posts, so let's go and build them. If they had done that, they could then have channeled the CDF through that, and then there's another structure called community policing. Do you know, I saw this in the Maraga Task Force report and I was shocked that in trying to restructure the administration police and the national police, the role of community policing was removed and has been a gap, which is why you saw crime, local crime going up. So in an attempt to kind of settle the political squabbles between these arms of the police, a gap was left. Now, the role of Parliament is to come back and say, hey, guys, we are hearing that crime is up. We are seeing that there were reforms that were done 2 years ago and they didn't work. Can we restructure? But instead of doing that, because Parliament has a vested interest in the fund, they would rather build police posts themselves without providing the community policing. So why do you have a police post that then doesn't have deployment? Because if you look at the budget, IMLU did an analysis of the budget. It's a pittance gets to the police station. So actually part of the police were very happy to work with IMLU on this project where they were saying, yes, please, can we get budgets so that the OCS is able to fuel the car? And not have
ideally, this money should have gone through the structures of the police so that if it constructs a police station, it properly resources that station.
What I'm saying is, one, we would have wanted to keep the principle that it's a community-based fund. So the lowest level of community of the community in the security police sector is community policing. So you would have to find a way, because you have to design, how do the community then have a say in this fund? Well, how do they, one, you have to set up community policing structures democratically and effectively. You then have to have a structure where they identify needs, where these needs are then quantified and put in some sort of plan. And that means you then have to set up the county policing authorities that have never been set up. So what am I saying? Instead of Parliament fixing the police sector, By looking at the law and setting up the institutions that are meant to be there, they went to build structures.
Have they worked?
Do you see what?
Have they worked?
Well, they have built structures, but if you look at, there was a report, a World Bank report, I think in 2021, that said over half of CDF projects are incomplete and unutilized because they're outside of a planning framework. So you can build a classroom. Even, let's say even you manage not to steal because Parliament doesn't report. There hasn't been an evaluation report of CDF projects because Parliament is the oversight. See, they know this information in their own mind.
What do you mean?
Kenyans don't know. They don't evaluate.
The CDF board reports to Parliament.
Reports what? Have you looked at the reports?
Have they? Are you saying that the CDF board has not produced a report?
No, I'm saying they do produce reports.
Okay.
But in amending the act, they lowered the threshold of reporting. We used to be able to get lists of CDF projects online from the board level. So we could do our social audits without asking anybody.
The question I'm asking...
They do not post lists of projects online. You cannot even get those lists at the CDF office. They had to, they were required to produce an evaluation report, I think, every 3 years. That provision was removed. And it was replaced with a statutory audit report. Statutory audit report means we received so many billions and we spent so many billions. The devil is in the detail.
Just the status.
They have reduced transparency and accountability because they are Parliament, they have power of the law, and because they don't want to account. Matters they'll be accounting to themselves, notwithstanding.
Allow me to pick at something that you said, because I think it is extremely important. We talk about the fact that there's certain things within these tenets of representation, legislation, and oversight that are supposed to be carried out by Parliament, right? But the questions as to why, let's use the police post that you speak of, the questions as to why security is lacking in a particular area, the questions as to what frameworks are supposed to be put in place, which now comes under legislation, and to find out really what the issues are in that particular area comes under representation. And if money has been spent or not spent, that comes under oversight. But we say that, from what you're saying now, that those things have not been done. And in an attempt to then cover up the inefficiency of those three tenets, that what we do is we say, let's put up a police post and it will deal with that issue. And there we can see the funds from NGCDF, in this case now being used for that. But it is not actually doing the work of these three levels that's supposed to be done.
2 levels. Bingo.
That's what we are saying. So CDF has been used over time as a cover-up for the work that is not being done at the parliamentary level. So far?
Bingo.
Okay. Do you think that by the removal of this fund, that it will force, and I use force very, carefully here, members of Parliament and Parliament as a body to actually do this work that they're meant to? Because if we're saying that the fund is there and it helps people essentially not do their job, basically, will the removal of this fund then ensure that the things that you're actually supposed to be doing within the framework of these three levels, oversight, representation, legislation, is actually done?
Do any difficult questions. Yes and no. In one way, Parliament will have to contend itself with how do we demonstrate to the public that we are working. Because right now, CDF is populist. In fact, CDF decampaigns them. Over 60% of MPs go home every election.
On account of CDF?
We believe it's on account of CDF.
Because people look at development.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that brings in the second part to this. The expectations of the public are also a challenge. And MPs have told us this. Look at, and in fact they say, all those legislators who work so hard at national level don't get voted back. And it's true. So the point we made to them is, you don't legislate an anomaly. That is what civic education is for. The problem is, we have a population that needs to see a project. and they don't understand the role of an MP.
Yes.
So educate them on the role of the MP so that they can understand who's supposed to develop the project.
Who should do that, though? Sorry.
The civic education.
Okay, sorry.
Under the law, Parliament is required to pass a national law, and counties are required to do civic education. It doesn't happen. In fact, it was killed when Anne Waiguru was in devolution minister and was very hostile towards devolution. It's amazing that she's now a governor and
chair.
Yeah, and chair of the COG. But, this goes to speak to our political leaders have been very hostile towards devolution. And the reason is, properly implemented, devolution is power to the people. So when Parliament fights devolution, when Senate fights, what anybody who fights devolution is actually saying, we the politicians are the ones who know. They don't know how to deal with the citizenry that know. That is why government has been so hostile to Gen Z, because they are like, how dare you come and question, and not only question, evidence-based. We are telling you even what you didn't know. They are not able to deal with that. Yet our constitution anticipates that citizen. So we've got one, and now we'd say that, whereas when we were starting, we really had a sense where citizens loved CDF. And in fact, when we went to court, we knew we are going against the citizens. That is why we didn't do a lot of citizen mobilization. We had wanted to. We knew we'll lose. But much as they love CDF, they hate the role of the MP in CDF. So our contention and our proposal to Parliament was make it a community development fund that can either go to the counties for local infrastructure developments, and it could still be on national projects, or it could be on county projects. But and we even gave them models. They have, Bolivia has one, Rwanda has one. These funds that really go to build community, and I know, Latiff, you're very active in the Residents Association at the local level. It's really saying that organized groups that are accountable will then be able to marshal a fund, and there are some mandates given to them, because sovereignty, Article 1, Article 173, 174, and I think 175 talk about collectively about self-governance. The development is about the people. It's not dependency, government's idea.
It's people deciding.
People deciding and having
acting.
the wherewithal to act.
So now, where we are at right now, you've seen members of parliament going and saying, look at what we have done with CDF. We have built this school. We've upgraded our schools. For example, Chairman of Budget, Nandi County, was in the news over the weekend, said, look at what we have done in Kiharo constituency. We have built schools, we have upgraded schools. After very many years of Kenya's independence, we still had schools, classrooms that didn't have knee on the floors. Now they have nice proper tiles on the floor, they have toilets, a proper sanitation, and there is a way in which they're saying, we're even putting money towards school feeding program and all, and they're reducing the burden of households in taking their children to school.
Great.
This is what CDF has been able to do. Because we have allowed the people to make their decision, we are just guiding them. Okay?
Great.
Now, how do you counter that? How do you go to Kiharo today and say, all right, we need to rethink this CDF thing?
And yes, I've heard Didi Nyoro does a very good job. There are many MPs who've done a sterling job. And there are many that really just steal that money. And there are many who wound up in court. And if EACC was more effective, I believe there'd be very many more. So what we are saying is, let's learn. And this is the tragedy of there not being evaluations. Parliament does not evaluate itself. Development must be evaluated. So let's evaluate what's working. Let's maintain what's working. Let's get the MP out, and let's have a community development fund, and let's ask, what does that look like? Because the way Parliament is going is, and the court talked about it, they are now becoming another arm of implementation. Yeah, they are another arm of government. They're the oversight arm, but now they're becoming another arm of implementation. They have the roads maintenance levy. That's decided at the constituency level. We have to go for that one. And so if there are failures in the executive, whose job is it to ensure those failures are dealt with?
If the
Parliament.
It's supposed to be Parliament.
But Parliament are too distracted implementing to sort this out. So we are losing 97.5% of the budget isn't oversighted because Parliament is so busy with their 2.5% doing the job that the executive should do. But there is a role for a fund, because a fund has a easier
direct connection with the people.
Exactly. But why not look at models like Rwanda had, like Bolivia had, a community development fund? I believe 10 years plus into devolution, it is time. The function, there's a function 14, Schedule 2, the Constitution, function 14. I don't read as well as quickly and as effectively as my sister here. It says, ensuring the role of the county government, function 14 is ensuring and coordinating the participation of communities and locations in governance at the local level and assisting communities and location to develop the administrative capacity for effective exercise of the functions and powers and participation in governance at the local level. This means that they are supposed to be structures. It's not supposed to be ad hoc, come tell me what you want. They are supposed to be structures, whether they are residents associations.
At community and location level.
At village, yes. So yes, location would even be lower. Is that lower than the village? To the lowest level. This means empowered citizens who exercise their sovereignty, who exercise self-governance. This fund could be designed to progressively realize that. It means public participation struggles in this country because politicians believe they own the public. And it's not just Parliament. It is also county members of assembly. They burst into public participation meetings. So we need to get out, we need to shift from a dependency model where parliamentarians own and kind of use and give handouts to the public, to an empowered public that, as the Constitution aspires. So for that, let's design a fund. Let's put the civic education around it. Let's agree on where it will be spent. Is it going into bursaries? Is it going into security? Let it be evidence-based. There has to be accountability. And then let's help Parliament do their oversight job better, because maybe we wouldn't be having scandals in all major Kenya Kwisha projects if Parliament was on the job. Yes, but Parliament isn't on the job because their CDF has become a bribe.
They're doing another job.
It is a bribe, like keep quiet, you eat your money, let us eat our money. Who is paying for this? That is why Gen Z were on the streets, because we are financing corruption with high taxes and lack of service delivery. We don't have money for, you've seen in yesterday's paper, I saw HIV because of the change, funds that were withdrawn, and the government's not able to meet that. 62 or something % of our health budget still depends on donors.
Yes.
We call ourselves sovereign, and then where we do have decent expenditure locally, the agriculture, we have Parliament passing this crop management bill to try and license farmers. So the sector that is working, that government is disinvesting, because actually I think the allocations to the agriculture sector is possibly tending towards 3%. It was around 4% under the Kenya, under Hururuto. Now it's tending towards 3%. So, I mean, the lies of Kenya Kwisha are just phenomenal because this was actually a manifesto promise. And they've gone opposite. Then, so you're reducing investment in key sectors. What does that mean? You're passing the burden onto taxpayers. At the same time, you're bringing in expensive, corrupt dodgy companies to manage these functions at an overpriced cost. This is SGR all over again. So we have there was a presidential advisor.
In 30 seconds.
Presidential advisor advising Uhuru Ruto in the around 2013, 14, 15. I met him at a couple of events, and he said he's advised them to keep away from large infrastructure because it gobbles up all the money. It creates opportunities for corruption. And he was Japanese, and he said the way Japanese grew is because they invested in modular that uses local technology that allows small level procurement at all levels. So things are going very wrong in this country. Let us now start fixing them one by one. And here we are starting to fix by putting Parliament back in their proper role oversight. What do we need to do? We need to maybe re-engage Parliament and see if we can speak some sense and tell them we are underdevolved.
We can see you. Plus, of all,
there's a big job as well of engaging the citizens.
Agreed.
The civic education bit is a big one. Thank you, Wanjiru, for joining us today. Come again soon. And soon, this time is soon.
It's actually soon.
8 a.m. news time. Good morning.
Morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. At least 20 university lecturers and staff were arrested in Nairobi yesterday following demonstrations organized by university's academic staff union and the Kenya University Staff Union will be arraigned today. Police lobbed tear gas canisters to disperse dons and staff who wanted to present petitions to the National Assembly, the CS, Education and the National Treasury. The WASU and KUSU members who are demanding the implementation of their 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement vowed not to relent. Here is KUSU Secretary General Charles Mukhwana.
2021-2025 CBA must be concluded and implemented fully. We have given the authorities ample time, 4 years to be exact, and 1 year we have been on the table with them. They have not given us anything to take home. Nothing. They have given us nothing.
WASU Secretary General Constantine Wasonga, on his part, has dismissed claims that lecturers will return to work.
I saw a letter circulating in the media purporting that we have reached consensus. How do you expect us to go and negotiate on retirement age? Retirement age is guided by policy. So if universities have failed to implement the policy directive that requires dons to retire at 74 years, then you cannot purport that we have negotiated and agreed.
President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua have been urged by Rift Valley politicians to hold talks in order to resolve their differences. Led by Trans Nzoia County politician John Njuguna, they've said that the exchange of words from parliamentarians of both parties are also raising political temperatures, thus jeopardizing development.
Siasa za Kenya haziendi vizuri. Siasa iko juu sana kuliko kazi. Maendeleo wananchi hawapati. Kama sasa hii mambo ambayo imejitokeza kuhusu rais na naibu wa rais, kila mtu aamini mwenzake, hawa watu watafanya kazi namna gani? Si kazi zitakuwa ngumu. Hawa watu wakae chini wasungumze. Kwa sababu wasipozungumza kutakuwa na shida. Rigiji ni mtu wa maana kwa rais William Ruto. Wakae pamoja wasuluhishe hiyo maneno yao kidogo kidogo wako naye. Sisi wale wa chini tukiona kama viongozi wa chini tukiona wakizozana, tunaona hakuna kazi zitafanyika nchi. Na mimi nauliza sana wale wabunge ambao ni wafitini. Mambo ya kusema sijui mnataka kuimpeach sijui deputy president sijui nani, waweze kufanya kazi yao ile walichaguliwa na wananchi. Waachane na mambo ya rais na naibu wa rais.
Njuguna further urged Ruto to follow in the footsteps of his predecessors by inheriting the steps they took to deal with matters of conflict.
Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, rais ambao hakuwa na masomo ya juu, yeye alikuwa na masomo ya kadri ya katikati, lakini alikuwa kiongozi maarufu, alikuwa anasikisa wa Kenya. Kila mwezi ama kila baada ya mwezi mbili delegation naenda kuona rais, wanamueleza maneno ile iko ground na rais anasikia. Wale ambao ni wajasusi wa nchi hii wanapeananga ripoti ya uongo. Mbona wasifanye vile Moi alikuwa anafanyanga? President anafanya kazi na wananchi wa chini. Lakini sasa nyinyi mnatumia hao majamaa wamesoma, kazi yao ni kusoma magazeti kwa tao na kupatia ripoti rais ile hakuna. Si rais atafuata hewa, ataenda na upepo. Ground ni moto.
And finally, some 60 hyenas have been captured in an operation in Juja of Kiambu County, where the marauding horns have mauled at least 8 people to death. For a few weeks, Kenya Wildlife Service officers have been working around the clock to track down the hyenas, raining fear in the villages. Addressing residents of Flat Village in Nyakaba, KWS Senior Assistant Director Joseph Dadacha revealed that the 60 hyenas have been captured, while some have been killed since the operation started 3 weeks ago. That's the news wire. I'm Leah Obaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, so where are we this few minutes after 8 o'clock? Traffic busy in the city. Langata Road is an absolute mess. It's crawling its way into the city, and also coming in from Magadi Road, so that's going to slow things down a tad. Also, as you get then past the barracks and then through towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, it's very, very busy. It's also spilling over towards Raila Odinga Way. Some of that traffic getting onto Huru Highway, a mess getting into the city. Very slow traffic. It was a late start to traffic, but it's major this morning. On the Thika Superhighway, we have it now reduced coming in from Garden City, but then survey through towards the Globe Cinema roundabout, very busy, very slow. Also on the Limuru Road, traffic, a thing. Lower Kabete coming in from Spring Valley, Waiyaki Way. A quick look at James Gishuru and what's coming in from there. Heavy traffic as well in both directions. Tuesday is one for the books. Let's take a look then also on Ring Road Westerns. Folks trying to run away from Chiromo, run towards Chiromo. No can do, at least not for now. Let's see what happens as we get through towards traffic hour and the end of it. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
At 7 after 8, how are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. And this is the hour where we tell you, yes, you can win 3,000 shillings, courtesy of Safaricom, the all-in-one package. What is it?
It's an all-in-one package. I tell you more.
What does it mean?
It means that everything that you want to do with your communication, whether it is airtime, you need to talk to people, talk.
Yes.
You need to send messages, send.
Yes.
You need to get on the internet, click. And then you also want to send WhatsApp. We'll do all of those things for you. 1,000 minutes of talk time, 2,000 SMSs, 17 GB of data, and WhatsApp won't even charge you. Throw it all there for 2,000 shillings a month. Because Safaricom says, you know what? Why should we have a stop to your communication? Whether you want to be on the internet, whether you want to be talking to people via WhatsApp, whether you want to send text messages, you do your USSD, or whether you want to talk to your people, talk to them for 1,000 minutes a month. And we'll make sure that you have access to this communication through and through. It will not cut in the middle. You will not run out. You will be fine based on your needs. So 2,000 bob, we can get you all those things. There's also options for 500 shillings a month, 1,000 shillings a month, 5,000 shillings a month. Pick your bundle, basically, is what you're saying you should do, so that you never have to be in a position where you do not have communication. Okay. Safaricom says, all in one, do it. You told people they could win 3,000 shillings.
3,000 bobs.
Okay. When you subscribe, take a screenshot of what you've done. Send us a message on our social, SpiceFM KE. And Avin can give you 3,000 bob today.
Who's Avin?
Avin is like the Loch Ness Monster. We're not quite sure if he exists or not, but we've been told that if you do that, he can make sure. So, how about you just try and see?
Avin is AI.
Avin is AI.
Okay. We are doing very well with AI in the country, okay? Our president has just told, an interviewer in New York. We're using AI, for example, in our means testing, okay? To know which student deserves what kind of money for our university funding. So this university funding actually is AI.
Excuse me?
We're also using AI. This is President William Ruto. I am not saying. He has said. If you didn't know, now listen. We are using AI to know which farmer to distribute what fertilizer to.
In Kenya? Was he talking about Kenya?
AI. We're using AI to do two things. Number one, we're using AI in our means testing instrument for university funding. And secondly, we're using AI for distribution of subsidized fertilizer to our farmers. So we have embraced technology in Kenya. And we are ahead.
We thank God.
Sawa.
Okay, so
now you know.
There was a senator who wants to propose a bill on AI.
Oh, so it's not yet happening.
It's not. I think for us who know what AI is, we should not. It's not the right time to do legislative intervention. We can still use policy.
Let it roll.
Yes, let's roll.
Let it roll.
Yeah.
That's what the president is saying. We are not waiting for legislation. We are using AI.
Yeah, but it's hard to legislate on it.
Yeah,
because it keeps changing. It's dynamic.
Let it learn first.
If you say so.
Senator, good morning.
Morning.
This is Senator Samson Kiprotich Arap Cherargei, the senator for Nandi County. It's good to have you back here.
Thank you. It's been long.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
I've been watching.
City says hi. He's taken 2 weeks just to go and
in Awasi or where?
Wherever he is, nobody knows. Okay.
In our culture, there is a
even
saying
even if you went to his home, you will never find him.
In our culture, there is a saying that you don't ask a man where he is.
Bas.
And if Kenyan women were doing that, they would be safer.
They'd be peaceful.
They'd be peaceful.
They'd have, more peace of mind.
Yeah, peace of mind.
Here is a proverb. Okay? It's from Senegal. The proverbs for this week are from Senegal. Yeah. There are 3 kinds of people who die poor. 3 kinds of people die poor. Those who divorce, those who incur debt, and those who move around too much.
No much.
Those who divorce, those who incur debt, those who move around too much. What do you think the Senegalese are saying here in this proverb?
I think the literal meaning, of course, is obvious. When you divorce or in debt or you are nomadic, you are always at risk in both instances. Because they used to say in Fasi, maana inje na maana ya ndani. It looks like you don't need to take too much risk. You need to be cautious in whatever you do. Like in debt, you don't overtake it. Like nomadic behavior, you need to be stationary so that you can
settle down
to make progress. And I think that should happen to the political class in Kenya. If we can settle down, we can walk. I think that is how I can interpret.
What's happening in our politics, actually, before even coming to what you're doing in the Senate? Now, at national level,
we thought after this Gen Z revolution, we should. There was a yellow card by the people of Kenya to start working and settling down, but it looks like the politics have now gone to high octane over the last few weeks. I remember a few weeks you were hosting the majority leader of the National Assembly, and I was shocked to listen to some of the conversation you are having. Considering that's a very senior position, an liaison position between the executive and the legislature. So it's not as for us who are members of parliament. I was a bit surprised because what he was saying something that at that position you don't just come and talk about it unless you are certain, because you hold a leadership position, that you'll bring the unity of the parliament together. But I was shocked because, and yesterday, people are talking. You had the deputy speaker, a number of politicians, some of the members of parliament who are wash in courts, the quick ones. I don't know whether their deals have been broken or they're fast-tracking something. So at the end of the day, it is shocking because we were going back where we were a few months ago. And I think we needed to agree as a country that it is high time that we settle down and start working for Kenyans. There is a lot, even in parliament, in executive, in county governments. You know, we're having a conversation about reviewing the budget. Even a very serious conversation like there's a proposal to amend the division of revenue bill from 41 billion to 380 billion to counties. Those are serious conversations. But when you hear mundane things about discussion of impeachment, I don't find it. I find those are political convenience statements and personal sensational that the country should not be. Because some of us who knows the impeachment proceedings have serious both legal or constitutional implications and the state of the country. So I think those, let's assume those are just politics. If they are politics, there's no problem.
We can't assume, because like you're saying, there's a lot of other work that should be done, that should be happening, that should be rallying the country towards something.
Correct.
But now there's all this distraction on, the deputy president saying, this is happening to me, I'm being humiliated by juniors, and I'm speaking to you, Mr. President, directly, keep your promise. Then we are seeing those so-called juniors coming out and saying, 2 weeks! Week is happy?
Really, but they will do nothing.
You don't think
I
so?
assure you, they will do nothing. Because as where I sit first, you have to know that personally, as a member of parliament, I'm not aware of any impeachment proceedings against the deputy president, number one. Number two, such matter is so grave and serious that if there was a matter, because if it is the position of the coalition, we should have had a parliamentary group meeting. Thirdly, the president is a man who can always express himself. He has never spoken on this matter. So some of us who have stayed a little bit longer in politics know that people are just game chasing. From me, from the Mount Kenya, when you had the majority leader, I interpreted that those are supremacy battles of Murima. Because in fact, I was shocked that he is quick to point out that the deputy president has not done 1, 2, 3. But he's not telling us what he has done himself, majority leader. I can tell you from where I sit. And because this is very important for Kenyans to know. As a farmer, and as a member who represent the farming community in this republic, there are bills, the bills of farmers are in graveyard in the National Assembly. Courtesy of inability of the leader of business in the National Assembly. The coffee bill are stalled in the National Assembly. The sugar bill are stalled in the National Assembly. The mang bill are stalled in the National Assembly. The bill sponsored by yours truly on the fight against banditry and cattle wrestling, the anti-livestock bill on produce that I myself drafted it and passed in the Senate, as told almost a year, to fight cattle banditry and wrestling in the North, as told in the National Assembly. The Tea Amendment Bill, as told in the National Assembly. So when you come and tell us you should, so and so, or the deputy president should have done something about farmers, there are legislative interventions that needs to be done. So you know they say in the Bible, you are basically looking at your brother's log in the eye and forgetting that you have your own. So for me, everybody should do their job. That is what I mean. So you as the majority leader, you should not be busy going and talking in the microphone, but not telling us this is what I have done, and it has not been implemented by executive, for example, or it has not been implemented by judiciary. Because if we start blame game, we'll never go anywhere. But for me, I thought those are Murima kind of supremacy politics. That is normal in any regional politics. And unless Gen Z will ensure that there is tribeless or regional, tribeless or not regional politics. But so long as the conversation is around region, they will always be push and pull. Even the region I come from, you hear in one corner some people want to be kingpin, another want to be kingpin. You go to another region, northern Kenya, you go to western, There is now the Prime Cabinet Secretary, there is the Speaker, there is not the Governor of Trans Nzoia. So it is normal in Kenyan politics. I don't see. But personally, I have not seen that impeachment proceeding. And I can assure you, Eric and my sister, that if impeachment proceeding comes today against the Deputy President, the people who shout the loudest will never even sign, nor even vote. You will hear they are away in India for medical, or they are on parliamentary duty outside the country. I can tell you, even the people who come from Mount Kenya, they will abstain. You know, in parliament there are 3 votes. There is yes, no, abstain. I can tell you for a fact they will disappear.
So then why bind the Kenyan public to this show of what you call waste of time for all of this, as opposed to focusing on work that needs to be done? I think that continues to be my everlasting question.
Yes.
I mean, just an hour ago, just not in less than an hour ago, we're having a conversation about things that members of parliament should be doing on a regular basis. That if members of parliament in a day, just even take 8 hours in a day, the work that is supposed to be done, you won't finish. The work that's actually supposed to be done in those 3 areas of legislation, representation, and oversight, the work that is pending for Parliament to do, there's so much, you don't have time to discuss some of these things. So why then are your colleagues essentially doing what you're calling a waste of time? Why?
But one thing I'm happy is that those things they are saying, they are not saying on the floor of the House during a plenary or during statement and motion. Number 2, also you have to appreciate that under our constitution, part of our parliamentary duty also is impeachment. The other day we did impeach the governor of Meru. And even impeachment of the president and deputy president is parliamentary work. But I agree with you, even processing a bill can take even a year. So we don't have luxury of time. You can see we were reviewing after the collapse of Finance Bill 2024, we were supposed to review the budgets downwards, both for state departments at the national and county. I've told you, in fact, personally, I'm opposed. And I've told, and I said on the floor of the House, and I'm happy you cover that, and KTN did that story. Although you need to be putting me on more often because I'm a regular here. You know, even you are regular in your local joint, there is some privileges, but I'm not canvassing. So my point is very simple, Eric and Drew, is that 1 billion was our minimum for counties. But now you want to cut 380 billion from 385 billion that was there. And we have said as a Senate, and it's agreement of most senators, since CDF has been declared unconstitutional, we want the money that goes to CDF to go into so devolution, that we don't cut that goes to counties. Number 2, this issue of, because I heard somebody say, CDF provide bursary. We as a country, we have said, let us stop giving bursary through the Ministry of Education, giving from Women Rep Affirmative, giving from CDF, giving from county. Why don't we put in one basket and every Kenyan child just walks to school and studies? Because it is more of political tokenism. When you now, when I like your face and you didn't support me in my last election, I'll give your child bursary. Because the MP there, the MCA, before time, MCA will want a bursary, Senator will want a bursary, which they don't have. So I think as a country, let us ensure that we give division of revenue to national government and county government. And I agree with that. Our position, we should be asking ourselves, if the finance bill did collapse, there is the issue of debt management strategy. There is the issue of even inquiries like the issue of Adani. Many other inquiries that should be done by Parliament where it brings the concerns of the country. We are not even the issue of NADCO reports. We are yet to finish. There is the issue of demands by Gen Z in the last in the fight against corruption. And you saw we were fighting over with the EACC when they appeared over Jom scam. You know now Eldoret has become a very dangerous place where there are allegations of conning and scamming people in that city. So when we were having that conversation with EACC was saying, no, it is not our job. So there is a lot of blame game that I agree with you that as members of parliament, there is a lot that needs to be done. But I'm happy that the comments that are being made are made in social parties, birthday parties, funeral, which is okay because
but
at
by
weekend
the
you
same
don't
people, but by the same people
but we
who
want
are
to
going to
them.
come into parliament the next day,
Yes.
because you say this,
Yes.
they go wherever they're going on Friday,
Yes.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yes.
On Monday, it's the same people. It doesn't change.
But they fear saying
it's the
it on
same
the floor of the
leopard
House.
with the same spots.
So you're saying it's not interfering with
So
their
you're
work?
saying that work that
No,
what
but
they're
you
doing
know now
outside?
on a weekend and you are politicians who are making banter in the public. Others are doing it for politics. Others are doing for personal interest, because some people, I'm a politician. I know when I see so and so speaking about something, I know what they want to achieve.
Sure, but what are you saying?
Others are cloud chasing. They want to appear in TikTok Live and many
I understand,
others.
Senator, but it's very difficult for me to separate these two personalities, even if the person is mad.
Agreed.
Multiple personality.
Yes.
If you want to say it, split personality.
I think
it is still the same person.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm not going to equate the two. I'm saying even if you have a split personality, it is still the same person. How do you separate the person who is doing this political gallivanting from Friday to Sunday from the person who comes into the walls of Parliament on Monday to Thursday and then goes back to their constituency, whatever? Can we split those two people and then we can justify it and say, actually, it doesn't matter. You can go to the pulpit of church, you can go speak to people on top of a vehicle on Saturday, but it actually doesn't bear any kind of impact on what you will then do between Monday and Thursday? Can we really say that?
No, politicians can have a double face.
Oh, that's a terrible thing.
I agreed, because the last time in 2022, Raila Odinga and President William Ruto did not look eye to eye. Now they are in New York. They are traveling in the same plane. So politics, and my sister, politics is about... is normally about the interests. There is no permanent enemies or friends. But the reason I say those people are gallivanting and perambulating, my colleagues, they could just be saying that for cameras and media. But if they bring that issue to the floor of the House, now we know it's a serious issue. But so long as, even if you look at the order paper of Senate today in the plenary session, we have so many bills, we have so many statements, we have so many reports that we are deploying. But it is only Kenyans, by the way, and you guys are prolific media people. By the way, there is a lot that happens in the committee. Committees of Parliament. The reason you know about Adani, for example, is because there was drama and media were there. Senate and committees of Parliament do a lot of work in the committees. We do reports, we do investigations, we do inquiries. It is that Kenyans do not see it, either because the matter is not sensationalized or because the matter has not captured the attention of Kenyans. Even in the plenary, I told you when we were discussing Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024, we discussed it from around 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. So maybe some of the people does not cover that point in time. But I agree with you that unless you are saying a politician and a leader should be different, because a leader, their word is their bond. But when people make noise along saying we will impeach one, so we'll do this, I'll take them serious when they table an impeachment motion. For example, like Senator of Tana River, Senator Danson Mungatana, he has brought a motion discussing the conduct of the Deputy President, which is provided for under standing orders of the Senate and even the National Assembly. But I want to assure the public such motion does not have any consequence. It's just a censure motion to call out. It's just a motion. But if you are coming with the impeachment or a vote of no confidence, of course the consequences will go to division, and it's a big one. Okay. So those are some of the issues that I don't think, and I hope the Senate Business Committee will not approve such a motion, because it's time wasting. I agree with you. Yeah, it's time wasting.
Should be taking more time on doing other things, oversighting. For example, you are not a member of the Transport Committee.
Yes.
But you've been appearing in the Transport Committee
because
hearings.
of the generating the public interest. And my people asking me whenever I walk everywhere, they're asking me, Senator, what is it that is about Adani and everything? So as a senator, and our standing orders in Parliament allow you to be a friend of any committee, so long as you are a member of Parliament or member of the Senate. So those are some we have a lot. I can tell you in my committee, the ICT, we are having the Professor Kindiki today at 12 p.m. to discuss on the dismantling of ICT infrastructure and even transmissions of media houses. So I agree with you, we have a lot. Side that we don't have luxury of to relax or time.
Let's talk about one of those issues, and then we'll talk about another one.
Yes.
In Nandi, there have been all these issues in the public, mass sackings, employment, underemployment, and all. What is happening in your county?
Nandi is a sad story. Very sad.
What's happening?
And for the last 7 years, when the current governor was elected, I have always been on record, and it is even in archives, both in media and my people's hearts. is that there was expectation that he would perform better. But it has been a total disappointment, especially who is a youthful person. We had a lot of expectation. When you go to Nandi, the roads are not passable. The projects have stalled. There were a number of around 600 projects. Only less than 1% of such has been completed for the last 7 years. You go to Kapiet Dairies, which is donor funded. It's yet to be completed more than 5 years. You go to Kapsabet Mother Newborn Unit, where our mother's pediatric wing are stalled. And it started at 400 million. Now it's approaching 600 million. You go to Kobuchai Dispensary, the stone throw away of Governor's house. That project has stalled. You go, that is in Lydiah. You go to Kapsengere, border of Nyeri and Kisumu, not the city side, because that is Chamaze. Kapsengere Dispensary, that one has stalled. You come all the way to Maraba. Maraba Hospital, there are no drugs. Even Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. You come to Nandi Hills Hospital, is overwhelmed. You know, with the mass sacking of workers, the health department has almost ground to a halt. You come to Mosoriat, where I come from, you know, we are by the road. There is no even a trauma center just in case of accidents. And one of the even Kabiet one is just they went and put some paint, and that was it. You go to Chepterwai, the project of Nyayo Ward, Chepterwai Ward, which was started by then President
Nyayo Ward.
Yeah, Nyayo Ward, which is part of Chepterwai.
It's not complete.
It's not complete. With the expansion.
Nyayo Ward.
Yes, it's not complete, which was started by the county
retired. He died.
No,
Nyayo Ward is not complete.
No, the name, it's called Chepterwai Nyayo Ward because the name that was given during Moi era is stalled.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, when you look at all these issues, and billions of shillings have gone to the county. You saw the other day the report of 2023-2024. You saw counties were spending billions of shillings in foreign travel and local travel. I heard you had the governor of Nairobi yesterday.
Yeah.
They spent, I think, more than billions of shillings in foreign and local travel. My county in the last financial year, let's use the reason that had been released by COP, calavanting and perambulating. They use over 310 million, both in foreign and local. That 310 million, if you are to put bursary, it will be more than enough for the children because they give 60 million for bursary. But they use 310 million for foreign travel, for example. You saw counties spend almost 17 billion in foreign travel. So that is why even as we fight in the Senate for more resources to the villages, people will ask us, why you munapea wa magavana pesa inakuja kuibiwa?
Of course.
That is even here in Nairobi, everywhere across the country. So the question is, and in fact, I was shocked in that travel, it is very lovable. The governor traveled to China for, you remember there was a forum on the issue of tarmac. China, this company that does the tarmac. But I was wondering, there is no county that has a capacity to tarmac. Why would governor be going to a conference discussing tarmac, yet he cannot do maram roads? Because, you know, the constitution has designed the roads that go to your small home. They are called feeder roads. So those ones are county supposed to maintain. Why would a governor travel to China to discuss about expressway? It show you another one. He traveled to receive an award. I don't know what kind of award. We try to Google, it doesn't exist. Another one, he traveled to visit where Jesus was born in Israel. We should allow Jesus Christ to be born in our hearts if you are a Christian. So when you look at how counties spend the resources we fight for in the Senate, that is why if I walk around even by foot here, people will ask me, why are you senators giving money kuje ibiwe? But now the question is, who should do that? Us, as you know, and I'm happy it is an informative program, and I've told Kenyans even on the floor that the power of Parliament and Senate is to recommend. As a vice chairperson of Senate Public Accounts, we have made so many reports where we have referred. Even there was in Nandi, for example, there was the issue of cement scandal, where the cement meant for ECD was lost. We did recommend in our report that the EACC investigates with the possibility of prosecution and people and recovery, even freezing of the assets through assets recovery. So those Kenyans should understand that as we just recommend, we investigate, recommend, table the report, those resolutions are shared with different entities like DCI, EACC. But the biggest, the elephant in the room at the moment in Nandi. And I'm happy. And yesterday I said in a place called Kamalambo. Kamalambo is like 20 kilometers from city's home. home. I wish I was aware that he's around. Ningeenda kunywa uji. So I said yesterday that we need to impeach the governor. And yesterday, the people, we have agreed in Nandi to call individual ward MCA to sign the impeachment proceedings that we have initiated against Governor Sang. One, for these mass sackings, when the report came over 1812, in that report, there are 3 individuals that are related with governor, the 3 siblings, and the mother and I have we did the search. I have the KRA pin, we have the pay slip, we have the ID number, and they were given position of assistant director. And one of the brothers had taken 5 million loan. I have even the soloist. You must know the soloist. Let me just finish so that you ask. The soloist who sang his campaign song was a chief officer who never went for vetting, earning 145,000. The radio callers, in my local language, the radio callers who call this popular, like SpiceFM, Chamgei, Berur FM, and many others, were on payroll of cleaners. I don't know whether to clean his image.
Radio callers?
Radio callers are people who call every morning. Mashabik, yeah. I think that is the word, Mashabik. I don't know whether you know that. There is Mashabik that when you want to look nice, you get them airtime. They call your local popular station and say, Senator is doing a good job. He's second to Christ. So those and they were hired. They were hired to do what we call cleaning services. The radio callers. So I don't know whether it was to clean the county or clean the government. But were
they doing cleaning services? Because
they were not. These are ghost workers.
Does not have a job. Look.
These were ghost workers. They never appeared. Even the assistant director.
So there's no record
of them working. But there is record of them earning.
But they're on the payroll.
But they're on the payroll and they're earning. And in fact, I will share you.
Have they been sacked?
They were deleted and then they have been given letters. So the problem now is that before the campaigns, the governor called all the county employees to a place called Kaimosi FTC and a place called Ndaptabwa. He gave them appointment letters, a number of them. So now when he realized the mess, he wants everybody to fall by the tree because he has noticed that there are people who are illegally in the payroll. And it's because I have talked in confidence with some of the members of County Public Service Board. You remember under Section 46 on the County Governments Act, the county executive, under Article 179 of the Constitution, led by the governor, are supposed to design the organizational structure of even the human resource structure and staff establishment of a county government. So I talked to some of the people of the County Public Service Board and say a number of these names were being referred by the governor himself so that they can be included. So when he realized that were forensic audit, because I had discussed with the TCI and EACC and Public Service Commission, when he realized they were going to do forensic audit, he went ahead and bailed the cat himself by saying, no, we want to delete their ghost workers. Yet the question people of Nandi are asking him, you have been a governor for 7 years. How did you realize there is a mess after being 7 years? Unless yourself you are a ghost worker who didn't go to job. Because if I have reporting to work, if today, my sister and yourself, if today you come to this office daily, if these microphones are not functional, you will notice. You cannot stay 1 year in this office and say, oh, I didn't know that microphone was functioning or that computer was functioning. And therefore, we have resolved. And from the motion starts today. And we have told Nandi County MCS, na tumetuma majenzi wa county ya Nandi, wawasalamia in good faith, that they should initiate the impeachment proceedings. Me in the Senate, I'm ready. The moment it lands on the desk of the Senate, we shall go the Mwangaza way.
Let us take a break. Senator Kiprotich Arap Cherargei is the senator for Nandi County. He's here. We're talking about what's happening in Nandi. So mass sackings, all these issues. I don't know whose relatives have been on the payroll for a long time. They've even taken 5 million shilling loan and all. But then what is happening going forward? Plus the Adani deal. Tell us about the weather and traffic. Sawa.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start Spice FM. Malindi. The weather with Spice FM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi, highs of 24 and lows of 13. We'll see lows of 13 and highs of 25 in a sunny Nakuru, and highs of 24 and lows of 14 in a mostly sunny Nyeri. It's 16 and sunny in Eldoret with highs of 23 and lows of 12. 26 and sunny in Mombasa with highs of 30 as well in Malindi, where it's 27. and sunny. Kisumu is sunny at 24, highs of 30 and 21, and sunny in Kakamega with highs of 28. Kampala sunny conditions at 21 with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam at 25 is sunny. We'll see highs of 31. 10 degrees sunny conditions in Johannesburg with highs of 21. Mogadishu is sunny at 27 with highs of 30, while Addis Ababa at 16, sunny with highs of 22. Lagos is cloudy at 25 with highs of 30, while in Kinshasa it's cloudy at 25 with highs of 32 and lows of 24.
And everything nice, everything nice.
Spice up your life.
It's busy, really busy on the Thika Superhighway this morning. Well before that outer ring junction. Also on Kiambu Road, we're seeing quite a lot of traffic this morning into the CBDs where most of this action is taking itself. And we see a lot of the inroads with some traffic this morning. Haile Selassie, very busy. Also looking at traffic on Kenyatta Avenue getting into the city. And when we look at Ngong Road, there's also quite some as you approach the city mortuary roundabout out towards Community. But look at Langata Road, very busy traffic coming in all the way from the Magadi Road junction and even well before that. And that's bumper to bumper. Looking at the Eastern Bypass, still quite some traffic as you approach North Airport Road. So that is also doing the thing there. We are still in traffic hour, so to be expected. Let's talk about what you see when you see it. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 20 minutes to 9. Our guest is the Senator for Nandi County, Samson Cherargei.
So even Senator, when we look at some of these things that you mentioned, I mean, you say them and we still have to ask ourselves, for goodness sake, how can such a thing be happening?
Yeah.
And, why is it okay for it to continue? But the scary thing for me is that we're going to talk about it for the next 2 days. And then it is going to disappear. And whoever is earning 145,000 shillings at the county level who actually doesn't work for the county is going to continue earning 145,000 shillings and nobody's going to say a thing about it. There will be nothing that will be done. The governor will not be impeached. We will continue. It just is a couple of days where somebody makes noise to make it seem as though work is being done. How do we drop that label whereby something happens, we make some noise and we disappear for some time? And it doesn't matter whatever level you look at it, whether it's at the county level. Right, there are fears today that even this Adani talk that everybody's having, spirited efforts to uncover what could be a possible scandal, will be busy for a couple of weeks, and by Christmas we'll be talking about something else. How do you shed that image whereby there is targeted noise that's made for a very short period of time, but at the end of the day, when we look at the thing, money is lost, work has not been done, development is retrogressive, and we have oversight bodies in place?
That is why I was saying initially, let me start from where you stopped on the issue. Yes, we do oversight. And by the way, and I hope I can share some of these reports. You see some of the recommendations we have made as Public Accounts Committee. Even nowadays, we have discussed with ISPAC, where when we find you as an accountant, if you enter, there's adverse, qualified opinion. There are normally 3 types of opinions in accounting. We recommend you to be disciplined professionally by ISPAC. We are doing it with LSK and other institutions, number one. Number two, we make recommendations. The work of oversight is just to make recommendations. Even if today we find a governor, and we found the finding in the governor, in the last session I was there, the governor of Samburu, which the court said, that was the recommendation of the Senate then, where we did recommend that they should be prosecuted for flouting the procurement procedure and conflict of interest. We did recommend. We make recommendations. The problem is that the wheels of justice, I don't know whether it needs to be oiled or to be done what. It's crying slowly. And that has been under challenge. For example, in Nandi, we have decided, we the people of Nandi, we have told MCS, if you don't impeach the governor for this gross violation of this massacre, of nepotism, of hiring his kin, in the payroll and also under development and violating the constitution, we shall start the process of collecting signatures. And I'll be the one launching it. We have agreed with the people. We are giving them 2 weeks. The problem we're having is that this is as a consequence of build-up of impunity from 1963, where the people in power are absolutists. You do and nothing happens. That's the problem. But I'm happy if we had picked from where Gen Z left. Because you remember we were here, some of us escaped through the tunnel and through the ambulance in parliament. The biggest problem of the Gen Z revolution, and every leader should listen to this, was the issue of impunity. Where you see somebody has stolen X, you see him buying LC 300 or Range Rover worth 35 million, owning apartments, somebody buying choppers, somebody wearing 17 million watch, and giving 20 million in an Arambe. And the salary of an MP, for example, is 500,000. Some of us, we have taken mortgage and loan, you go with less than so. It can add up. So that was the madness of the Generation Z, where they were saying, this is impunity we are seeing. This must stop. This must stop. And that is why when you go to judiciary, there were allegations that justice is being sold to the highest bidder. Yesterday, even my workers were not, even, under Employment and Labor Relations Act, whenever an employee challenges the decision of employer, they are given the priority. For example, yesterday in Eldoret, this mass sacking, the genuine workers that were sacked by Nandi County government went to court and they were denied conservatory orders. Yet, as a lawyer, I will tell you, such issue, because it can be overtaken by events, you stop. You issue a conservatory order until the matter is heard and determined. So even as we say executive has a problem, counties have a problem, we must agree that every arm of government has its own problems, even the judiciary. If you go today, as Kenyans, we file around 400,000 cases. We are a litigious society. When you talk to Chief Justice, and I saw her doing what is State of Judiciary address, she was talking about lack of resources, lack of facilitation, which I agree. I've been a chair of Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights in the Senate in the last, and I was a champion where we were pushing from 18 billion, at least the judiciary, to get 24 billion. Parliament gets 36 billion, for example, to 40 billion. So we were wondering, why don't you allow judiciary to get at least 24 billion to 30 billion to allow even my local magistrates court, because some of the court cases can be handled even at the district magistrate court, the magistrate, the chief. So there are challenges that will continue happening. But the biggest challenge Eric can do is that the impunity. The impunity in this country. It continues. And that is why I'm happy when the conviction of former governor of Samburu came up. I was excited because at least, it's like a drop in the auction, but at least you are feeling there is something happening somewhere, even if it is small. Even if it is small, a precedent. I hope the other court cases, and that is why the other day we were pushing EACC and telling them to stop being gatekeepers of the corrupt. Because somebody is known. Somebody has stolen. The word of Cherargei, we normally file. I'm a poor man, by the way, so Kenyan should get that. We file. Before you know it, you cannot tell me in the next 1 year, Cherargei files the returns and he's worth 10 billion from some few shillings he used to have a year. That should raise an alarm. Where is the AR, the Asset Recovery Unit? If today, and everything we buy, if I buy a property, we will pay stamp duty, it's registered. If I buy an apartment or a house, you will see the Kenya Power and Lighting Company bill. If today I import a car, you will see clearance documents. If today, everywhere it can be tracked. But the question is, the people who should be fighting this issue of impunity are not doing alone to fight it. So I agree with you that, I don't know, as a country, I don't know, there is this animal that has a very short memory. What is the name of that animal?
A goldfish.
Goldfish, there is another warthog. A warthog also has
a warthog.
Yeah.
Well, let's call it warthog.
So what happens is that when the GNC revolution came, I was happy because I thought things will now improve. But it looks like we
have reversed. We are like Gen Z never happened.
Never happened.
It's like we're back to March.
Correct. Even in this issue of Adani, it's the
same thing.
It's the same thing. I did carry a number of...
Let's talk about it, actually, because you have been attending these sittings. So we've noticed
yes,
you, the senator for Nairobi, the senator for Kisii, the senator for Busia.
Yes.
You're not members of this committee.
Correct.
But you appear to be the ones who are like taking the limelight in this committee.
You know, us personally, we are senators of the Republic of Kenya, but from different respective counties. Number one. Number two, these are generated public interest. As member of parliament, we must know what is happening, because I will come to such forum. If I was not keen on what is happening at the public domain, it will be very unfortunate. Yeah. For some of us who are at least ranking members in parliament, there are some issues that we must always share with it. When we have sat with the CS of finance, although it turned chaotic yesterday, and because of
it became unruly.
It did not become unruly. The CS became temperamental, and people were being accused of being dramatic, to post videos on social media, TikTok and what have you. But the chairman did try to control the meeting, although he ended up gagging us. But that is beside the point, because I was telling you, I've been a chair before. If you are a chairman, there is a way you conduct your meeting so that it becomes easy for members to engage. Number two, if I have a very 1 to 2 kilos. I didn't come with
a box of documents.
Yes, it is in my car, but now I didn't have. You didn't send me somebody to assist me in carrying the documentation. But I knew also constraints of time. What I want to say, when you look at these documentations that we have been brought, these are ahead of terms. We had response from the CS of Roads. We had response yesterday from CS of National Treasury. No one knows really the details. This animal called Adani.
What do you mean
no due diligence. All the CS who have come, even the Director General of PIPs. Because even when you ask them, for example, why did you give it to Adani? They say there were no other companies, but when the information came, yes, there were 3 other companies, like GMR, another American company, has initiated the report. Their own PIP, a privately investment proposal through the PPP. It was revealed yesterday. But the CS of Transport said there were none. Even I have his response here. There was the issue of even the fate of employees of KA. They had said, mambo ni matatu. One, you remain with KA, but you don't work in JKI, Unarushwa, Malindi, Mombasa, Eldoret. Number 2, you go to Consensia, who is the Adani group, with different terms of employment.
You're absorbed by...
Yes. Okay. Number 3 was mambo ni matatu. Number 3, unaenda nyumbani na send off package. So the fate of employees is not known. Number a very interesting thing is the tunnel clause. It says after 30 years, God willing, I hope all of us will still be around, is that when they are finished, they will have a tunnel clause with the word eternity of 18% ownership of JKI. Forever. 18%. And then on the concession agreement is that the concession should be 470 million per annum with 10% increment, considering the inflation in the country in terms of concession agreement. So the question is, why would we enter into such a deal without due diligence? For example, Adani is facing allegations. You know, Heidenberg Consultancy Limited from US investigate, even the SEBI, the one in charge of stock exchange in India, found out tax manipulation and funny blah 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 blah. In fact, when that matter came out, Adani group of companies lost 100 billion. A week ago, Swiss authorities, there were allegations that they had frozen over $310 million that belonged to Adani Group. So we were asking the ministers, why did you don't do due diligence before even signing? We agree, you and me and my sister, we agree JK needs upgrade. We have been talking about leaking roofs. My brother, the former CS Kipchumba Murkomen, forming a UN-like committee to look into leaking roofs. There was the issue of small matter of generators. We agree that we need a new airport. Even in the Watson, the British company that came investigated, you remember in the 2016, they wanted to construct a new green terminal at that time. There was so much agreement. So the question is, and that is why yesterday I did apply in conclusion, because I know we are constrained of time, is the former Minister of Roads knows something that no one does not know.
What is that?
He needs to tell us what he knows, because most of the documents I have in my car and the information in the car links him to do signing and the procedure of this. That is Murkomen. We need the former MD Alex Kitari of Kenya Airports Authority. We need CS Professor Njuguna Ndungu to tell us what they know about this.
How about the board?
The board also, of course, the board is still there. We have seen reports, and in fact, by the way, interestingly, and I hope you remember in the last session,
if we look at the hierarchy of things,
yes, the KA board,
the KAA has an MD. Then the KAMD reports to a board.
Correct.
And this board has representation from government, from National Treasury, from the Transport, and all the others.
Correct.
And those representatives in the board are the ones who then report to the CSs.
Yes.
So you're asking the CSs why don't you ask the board?
In fact, we have seen the minutes of the board. The board did not agree with this proposal. In fact, I wish
if a board has not agreed with the proposal.
In fact, but the board were very interesting. They said, the government does not have a common position, but there are things there we need to still relook. So they didn't give us an exit in their minutes. And you remember even the former CS, there was an issue of leaking roofs and generators. He didn't even use to consult the board, if you remember. It was like a one-man show. Even some of us who have spoken to KA board in confidence are alleging that some of these decisions were made beyond. Because if you see, responses was between Treasury, PS Dagar, CS Murkomen,
the board members,
and MD
have fiduciary responsibility.
Yes.
So they cannot say,
No, but that is why in their minutes they have agreed that there are grey areas.
Why is in the committee summoning the board?
No, we did summon, and I agree. We did summon the acting AG, acting MD. And also we'll invite the AG, of course, to tell us. Ogoye, acting AG, KA Ogoye. And we had instructed him that he comes with the board. So I hope in the next session, I was saying the people were additional, because when we met Davis Chirichir, it looks like he was shooting in the dark. You saw CS Mbadi was also shooting in the dark and insisting he has the information. When we gave him the information, CS Mbadi was saying, I have not seen that information. Yet it was received.
I'm expressing fear here, Senator.
Yes.
That, the manner in which this committee is conducting this investigation will end up with another one, like the one for MES. Very many pages, saying very many things, but then the recommendation is hogwash. So hogwash that even Senate does not adopt that report.
But I want
an entire investigation was conducted on the managed equipment scheme.
Yes, I remember.
Chaired by Wetangula.
Yes.
Senate did not even adopt that report.
Did not even name the names that they promised to name as a result of this scandal.
We have seen those things.
Was there.
There was drama for MES. There was drama for COVID billionaires.
Even Shakahola.
Drama. This thing.
Although they have come
now, you're calling, I don't know, you call us the CS for Treasury, you make noise, walk out, and then drama.
But why don't you give us a chance? There's what we call benefit of doubt.
History, man.
No, I know history sometimes. It's a good teacher.
Yeah.
But I want to request, why don't we conclude with the investigation? I was there in the medical equipment supply. I was the people who objected the recommendations of that committee. Because the report recommended, said everything right. But when it came to recommendations, what Okwash? I agree with you, but let us give them benefit of doubt. When they will do the recommendations now, we can. And we have told the chairman yesterday, if you watch, although people call it chaotic, but I don't think it was chaotic. We told him that this is about the national importance. This is about, in fact, I told the chairman personally, if you do this thing right as a committee, you'll be remembered for many years for doing the right thing. And I think what we should do, I agree we might have lapses in the past as a parliament. But what we need to do is we can regain our image as parliament by doing the things in the right manner. So on this issue of Adani, I want to say that there is still a lot. Because, by the way, if you look at the old documentation, we need to engage more stakeholders. But what surprises us is the CS of Roads and the CS of Treasury saying that there is no deal. And when we ask, will Kenyans lose money if you walk away from this? They say no. But if you tell them walk away, they don't want to walk away. So the question, why are they keeping? And that was the question that we did raise on the floor of the House. Because if we are not losing anything, we told them this thing has given a public uproar, as everybody is against it. Even you saw the young man, and I use that as an example, the viral young man on Gen Z Revolution. We asked him, mbona unaenda maandamano airport imeuziwa nani muhindi? You remember that? Yes. So the question I was asking, if we have mama hapa Kiambu, Tindigwa or somewhere in hapo useme ama wapi across the country, they don't understand these dynamics. Wanasikia tu airport imeundwa. So you asking them, mbona tu msitoe and then float? Because by the way, in conclusion, sorry, I'm downloading a lot of information. When CS Murkomen appeared in the Senate in November last year, 2023, he told us they were floating international express of interest in the improvement of JKI. In fact, you can retrieve in the answer. So we were asking, as the policy of government changed in terms of floating international express of interest, especially on PPPs, because we are aware there is one on Ketrago, there is one on Shiv, there is, I think, a number of them that they are floating. But we are asking, in your proposal, you said you allow people to float. But why, in this interesting, in conclusion, this issue of Adani, in fact, it is the KA who did feasibility study and presented to Adani and tell him, this is how we look like. Can you? No. So it's like wanamuibia mwa Kenya so that they do what? PIPs. So this issue of Adani is as complicated that it needs a lot of thorough.
It's a skunk, bottom line.
I think I said yesterday, if it's a duck, looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it is the ugliest one. So it should, by the way, in our own opinion, so far in preliminary, and I hope the Senate committee will do the honors, is that this issue of Adani, we should just walk away from it.
Let's see what
Rwanda did with the Rwanda are doing a new terminal at a cheaper and more better concession terms.
Let's see what comes out of what this particular investigation.
But you can see if I had come with my old box, it would 2 hours.
It would be a lot, eh?
Yes.
Endeleeni tu hivyo.
Yeah, I'll come next tukifika mahali ntarudi.
Thank you. Yes. Senator Samson Cherargei, the senator for Nandi County, has been our guest. Keep it here for more conversations. In the next hour, we talk to former Cabinet Secretary Kipruto Arap Kirwa, 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and be amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tuned into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanyan.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes?
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, you know, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, you know, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Okay, so what are we looking at now? Traffic still pretty busy in the city. Looking at Langata Road, it's coming in heavy as you approach the Nyayo Stadium roundabout. Looks like it's going to continue for some time. As you come off the Thika Superhighway as well, that still continues. And traffic just around Survey heading into the city. It's been a heavy Tuesday morning. Let's see what's left of traffic coming off of the Eastern Bypass. And there's some as you approach North Airport Road. But I think we should be okay coming into the end of traffic hour. Keeping an eye on things for you. Let us know. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's 5 minutes after 9. So SpiceFM has an AI, and our algorithm is called Avin.
Yes, he is. And he's looking out for you today in a good way, because he's got 3,000 shillings this morning. Yes. To give to you. What you need to do to order to get Avin's 3,000 bob is dial *544#. Now, when you do that, you'll find that option number 4 is for Go Monthly. When you send that to the system, it's going to give you many options, and you will select the all-in-one. Now, the all-in-one has different options. You're going to spend a particular amount of money, and you get different options in terms of what happens with talk time. Let's say you pick the one for 2,000 shillings. 2,000 shillings will give you 1,000 shillings, 1,000 minutes of talk time. It'll give you 2,000 SMSs. It'll give you 17 GB data, and it'll give you free WhatsApp for a month. For 30 days, you can have this at your for your use. All right. And so why? Because you know what, the days of talking on the phone, sending messages, it will not go because you do not have airtime, or trying to get online and you do not have bundles. That's over. Safaricom says, let's get into another era, shall we? Use a little bit of money at the beginning, or a lot of money at the beginning of the month, whatever it may be, middle of the month. Buy, talk, browse, communicate, and forget about it. Now, if you do that today,
your life. Peace of mind.
Yes, peace of mind. That's what you're buying. You're buying peace of mind.
AI is giving you 3K.
AI will give you 3K if you do that. Send it. Not that everybody who does will send it. He will use the algorithm to check and pick a winner.
Very good. Very good. Now, there are many places you have visited in this country, and there are places you haven't visited. Have you been to Cherangani?
Have I been to Cherangani? No, I have not.
You've heard of it?
I have.
The Cherangani Hills.
I've heard of them.
Do you know which county it is in?
Hold on. No. I should.
Somebody who was an MP for this area in the 90s is our guest. Okay? He was a member of parliament. In those days, when the opposition MPs, he was among those in the opposition. Then, when NAC formed government, he was in government. He was a minister in charge of food security, agriculture in this country, and so on and so forth. Nowadays, he's an elder. He sits, he looks, and he says, I see the sun rising from the east.
Oh, wow.
And by end of day today, it shall rain. And it rains. Kipruto Arapkiro, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
How are you doing?
Salama kabisa.
Good to have you here again.
Yeah, I thank God for it. Yes, and actually I was in the 80s, the 90s, and up to 2007.
You see?
I served for 20 years.
It's bugging me. It's bugging me and I don't want to Google.
My county is Trans Nzoia.
Kitale.
Yeah, Kitale is our district headquarters.
Well done. But what is the name of the county?
Trans Nzoia.
Very good.
He's a first learner. She's a first learner.
Very well. Very, very good. So, Trans Nzoia County, Cherangani Hills.
Yes.
Karibu sana here.
I thank God.
We want to talk about, you've been in politics for long. You served in parliament, you served in cabinet, you have sat at the executive, you have looked at this, in fact, you've even chaired and led a political party.
Yeah.
And that political party ended up being the ruling political party with you outside.
Yeah.
Now, you're looking at your former party
yes.
now as a ruling party,
yes.
and we are seeing fractures at the very top.
That's true.
We'll discuss that.
Asante.
City has said hi to you, City Muga, but he's not
how
in
is
today.
he?
We don't know.
With the proverbs.
We told the guy, you go and rest, because he said, I want to go and rest. So the one thing that we're not doing is not disturbing him.
Oh, wonderful.
But he left us with the proverbs. And he told us for this week, the proverbs will be from Senegal.
Ah, Senegal.
So listen to the proverb and give us your interpretation. 3 kinds of people die poor. Those who divorce, those who incur debt, and those who move around too much. 3 kinds of people die poor. Those who divorce, those who incur debt, and those who move around too much, a.k.a. Tanga Tanga.
Eric, I don't know. I don't know whether I will have the right interpretation.
There is no wrong interpretation.
Okay.
Yes.
I think the hallmark of the statement is that you should be careful about what you do. Because at the end of the day, a divorce is not desirable, but at times it has to happen. I thank God I'm not in that category. I still got my wife for many years. And we incur debt almost every afternoon, whether it's Fulisa, Mshwari.
Something.
And the third one is Tanga Tanga. Of course, if you are aimless, you are not careful about what you're doing, then you will die poor. Yeah, you must be careful about what you're doing.
So it's like choices of consequences.
That's it.
And you should be prepared for the consequences.
For the consequences. Once you engage in a certain activity, you must be ready for the full hog. Yep.
In the previous hour, we had Senator Cherargei here, of course, you know that.
Yes, Senator for Nandi.
For Nandi.
Yes.
And one of the things that he said is what he's seeing now happening, he called it unfortunate, uncalled for, and used very many other words. People are just perambulating and speaking, and it has no weight. It's politics out there. There's a lot of work to be done. It's not being done. And this is with regards, of course, to the politics around, the president, the deputy president, members of the national executive and in the legislature from the ruling coalition, Kenya Kwanza, and their friends now who are in ODM. What do you make of what's happening in the country right now?
Well, I say political bad manners, because some of these things we saw it coming. Part of the reason why I left UDA is because I believed, I've done a bit of industrial psychology, the 2 characters, the president and the current deputy president, are people whose character cannot be compatible for such a long time. I remember I told the president and a battery of other guys who were around the president at that time, because we had 4 candidates. And Rigathi Gachagua was one of them. And I told them, you will not last with him for 5 years. Because the 2 of them are too combative. And even in a family, I thank God you talked about divorce. In a family, it's not because we are good. Perhaps for my family, my wife is more tolerant than I am. And therefore, we've managed to stay for almost close to 40 years together. In a family, there must be somebody who is more tolerant, somebody who is more understanding. So that when you have a hyper husband, the wife must be tolerant, very calm, and vice versa. That's how families survive. And of course, political conveniences that we have will, of necessity, mean one must be able to be tolerant. You remember the only person who has kept his vice or deputies well is Kibaki, because Kibaki was very tolerant. That's why the 3 vice presidents that he had, none of them complained much about Kibaki. And Kibaki respected the institution, even including us ministers. If other people, I remember there was a case of some ministers wanted to transfer coffee board from a ministry. So at the full length of time, he asked them, but where is the guy who is responsible for this particular ministry? I was called at 9 o'clock. The following day, I went to State House, and I did not have a problem. I told him, the only thing that we need to do is to amend the law. Then he said, why are we amending the law? If it is in this ministry, it's the same government. If it moves, we have better things to do rather than to take legislation to parliament to transfer a parastatal. That is Kibaki for you. But many people don't respect people they work with. Now, the 3 of you having been here for long, I give you a lot of credit, because people cannot tolerate each other. Yeah.
So
that is our problem.
You saw this?
I saw this, and that is the reason I left.
Are you saying others did not see it?
I don't know. There could have been conveniences. Ama kuna madeni. I don't know. Because you see, I told them, yes, he can play another role, because I respect him. But I will advise him down the road about the way I see politics today. I saw that he was not going to last. That relationship was not going to last. Kindiki, Alice Wahome, or Muturi could have done better. That's my opinion. Because they would be willing to listen to the boss. Because you see, Ruto is also a micromanager and too domineering. Rigathi is also combative. So when you combine the two, they tell us in industrial psychology, that is totally incompatible pair.
Usually, by the time somebody outside whatever little caucus or circle you are in is telling you something, usually you have an idea about that same truth.
Yes.
So the likelihood of both of those parties being aware of what could happen down the road is pretty high. Why would they still decide to make that decision if they knew there was a possibility that they could split ways down the road? Why?
I do not know. Possibly they were hoping, because even the president you had in Kasarani, I didn't say that. He said himself that he's not going to treat his deputy the way he was treated. But perhaps it took more than 5 years for Uhuru to tolerate William Ruto. But this situation has become intolerable after 1 year. In fact, what we are seeing now is an epitome of what has been happening. Lack of political hygiene.
This political hygiene, if we were to define it, because we are talking about people, individual characters, and a job that needs to be done to serve the public. And the president has actually recently used this term, servant leadership. You are in this position to serve the people. You have been given the honor by the people of Kenya to serve them. So it's not about you.
Yeah,
it's not even about your boss. It's not about your subordinate.
Yes.
It is about the people.
Yes.
So why would we end up having...
The problem, you see, there is what we call a habit. When it is repeated by the same individuals, it becomes a character. And when there are more characters behaving the same way, it becomes a sort of a social challenge. And if there are more people in that kind of social arrangement, it becomes a subculture. And likewise, it will grow into a culture. So the culture that we've grown in Kenya for the last 60 years is that we do not respect the people who elect us. Immediately they elect you, you think you are the boss. You forget that they elected you because there were certain aspirations they had, certain hopes. And those hopes you dash them by behaving in the opposite way from what they expected you to do. So that is become our culture. It is not just William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. If we don't watch, any other arrangement may almost precipitate the same. That's why we as ordinary citizens, we must rise to the occasion and say no. Yeah, no to impeachment, no to all these bad manners.
You know, the president, when he was deputy, you know, those days he was asked the question, what would you do to make sure that your deputy does not face the same kind of thing that you faced, and of course you've seen, clips have emerged in an interview with Joe Ageo, him saying that can never happen. During the presidential debate, Yvonne Okora and I asked him the same question. I mean, you're saying that you have gone through all these things, but you've been in office. Would you do the same? And he said, no, we wouldn't. What we fell short of is asking him what needs to happen to control a president so that a president does not mistreat a deputy president.
Go off the rails.
All right? So what is it? Do you think we need legislation? What do we need to do to infuse this thing that we are now calling political hygiene?
I think the most important thing is that we must think about our society itself, because I'm sure even today as we are here, the country is polarized. There are those who believe the deputy president is right, and there are those who believe the president is right, and therefore the deputy must, of necessity, be impeached. So it is become more of a culture. I ran the risk of repeating what I've said before, that upon taking over Tanganyika, Mwalimu Nyerere, 6 weeks later on, he resigned to tour the country, to inculcate in them the values of a nation, what it means to be a Tanganyikan. After 1 year, he came back and he became the president of Tanzania. He allowed Rashid Kawawa to take over for 1 year. And later on, he put in school curriculum to inculcate the values of being a Tanzanian. And that is how that country is. Today, they may be lower in terms of GDP than us. But because of that unity and good manners, they are likely to do better in the next 10 years. Because we are spending a lot of resources in fighting. Listening to the deputy president last week, I realized there is something that we are not seeing. The government is frustrating itself from performing, because there are certain activities he was given to do under gazette notice that the president himself signed. Later on, those activities were frustrated despite the fact that we spend billions of shillings in that particular department. That is something that is worrying me. Also, the last term of the two, Uhuru and Ruto, they wasted a lot of time in fighting. And in the process, they frustrated the public.
And the resources. Because
of this nation.
There was resources that were spent in the office of the deputy president, who was ineffective in delivering any job, getting any job done.
When we look at, coming from your position, you served in government, still, a political honcho even till now. And we still have to ask the question, really down the line, after several, years of administration of government, that there still cannot be a clear distinction between service delivery and politics. And I think I have to ask the question then, when people go into these positions, is it really for the good and the development and the progression of the country? Because if it is not from the get-go, there is no way you can ask somewhere down the line for somebody to please change their intent.
That's true.
If their intent from the very beginning was to see what they could garner for themselves or some kind of search for political expediency, there is no way we're going to ask, please change your proverbial political spots somehow in the middle of the game. So it seems as though we are dealing with quite a number of people whose intent was never for economic, developmental progression of Kenya.
We go back to the same society, because today, if you found me driving a Vitz, you will say this guy was a minister and he's driving a Vitz. Or if you found me in a taxi. Because our society has almost prescribed that once you get into a position of privilege, you must display certain level of acquisition that is beyond your capacity. But in other societies, people are proud of the legacy that you leave, and at times spend a bit of time listening to some of the stories emanating from Tanzania. They seem to respect people who served the country with distinction, as we seem to respect people whose term in office they were able to acquire something they are totally incapable of acquiring in another arrangement. This therefore means when somebody gets into politics, he's not getting to politics to serve. He's getting to politics to have primitive accumulation of wealth to the extent that at the end of the day, they are respected for doing so. Today, if you went to Rift Valley, and I can say this without any fear of contradiction, the backyard of President William Ruto, you can accuse him of Adani, G to G, any other accusation. but they will not take it. They say he knows.
Hii ni siasa unaleta.
Unaleta siasa na anajua kutafuta mali. Yeah. So you cannot accuse him of corruption. Accuse him of anything else, but not corruption.
So is it the people?
It's the people. We are the problem. We the people are the problem. We don't seem to see anything wrong when one of our own is doing the wrong thing, as long as we'll partake part of the loot that he has gotten from national coffers. Today, up to today, we are divorced, alienated from the government. We don't believe the government is part of our heritage. We still look the government as another animal, alienated from our own daily life. So if you are looting from the government, you are doing well. Because you are not stealing from us.
The recent demonstrations showed that the people actually know and they don't like what's happening. They acknowledge, they appreciate, they don't like. It was started, yes, by the younger generation, but it got widespread support.
Yes.
It says that people were expressing themselves and saying, you know what, we have just been tolerating. We have been sitting back and tolerating and hoping that, you know what, you guys will change. We've been giving you these signals once in a while. You go into parliament, we vote you out, we bring in somebody else because we are thinking you are behaving the other way. And now this one voice was saying, enough is enough. They were saying, this opulence that you're showing, no. They were saying this, wanton theft of public resources or misappropriation of public resources and the lack of service delivery, no. If you look at even the conversations that are continuing now, a raised level of accountability, people are saying no. So people are aware.
People are aware, but we have not sufficiently owned the process.
Yeah.
We are still almost like, what do I say, passive participants. Some of the people in this country. The GNCs, and I hope when they get to time that they get into certain offices, and I pray sooner than later, they will be able to keep up with what they did for the last, on the 25th of June.
Yes.
And thereabout. Because it was a departure from the past. It was non-tribal, non-class. They didn't have that we come from this place, we come from Kayole, we come from Karen, we come from Runda. For them, it was that this is enough.
Kimani Ishung was so class.
Yeah?
Kimani Ishung was so class. He used to see
Oh,
something
no.
KFC
Kimani Ishungwa sees things I don't see. Possibly smarter than me.
All right, go on. On a light note. Yeah. So they came out and they were united. They were representing a cross-section of Kenyan society.
That's true.
Yes.
And they're also representing, the Kenyan society. They didn't see tribe. They saw themselves as Kenyans who deserve better than what the government is giving them. Yeah. And that should be the way. We hope it will actually be ingrained in our blood, so that we say no, no, no. Because you see, like what we talk about, private-public participation, the whole problem is lack of management. Yeah. If you are to improve management of public resources, there are enough people to buy into this, and you can sell whatever you want to sell to the public, as long as they trust that the management is right.
How do people, I think we continue to ask this question because we come from a place where it's obvious that there has to be citizen-centric governance. And even if you're not the ones, putting your signature, that it has to be with the citizen in mind that these decisions or these actions are taken and made. But how do people, we do, like you said, you have some citizens who are very, very, plugged in. People will work in their community. People will take matters to court. People will look for judgments in areas of jurisdiction that they see things are going wrong. People will. But it would seem as though the majority of people, we just kind of sit back and hope that things will get better. And we talk and we complain and we say that things don't work right. But how do we actually get involved? And I'm going to come back to your example. When you were as a minister, did you expect that Kenyans would speak up and say, no, we cannot go in this direction? Or was the general thinking that, okay, they'll make noise for a few days, but then after that, they'll keep quiet?
Yeah, at times when you're inside, you don't know what is happening outside. Sincerely, when we are at the ministry, perhaps at times you have a lot of information and you think you are doing well, only for the public to say no. And of course, I had a share of my own failures and successes. So, as a minister, yes, at times you think the public is wrong, but in the overall, you realize the public was right. Because at times there is disinformation, at times there is propaganda, and at times there is some lack of information. And of course, it is your duty, if you are a minister and people don't know exactly what you are doing, it is your duty to tell them exactly what is happening and why certain things are happening in that particular manner. But yes, the president admitted that there was a lack of effective communication, but it was not just lack of effective communication. Corruption is there, and he admits there is corruption in government. Of course, display of opulence, lagis, and a bit of a measure of arrogance was very evident. And I thank God the Gen Zs actually were able to teach them how to behave. Some of them actually were no longer flying the flags before they were sacked, because they realized the country was at crossroads, and it was the country was outraged by their behavior. But what I still believe is lacking is a clear demonstration. When you talk of public participation, we need to redefine public participation in a way that the public is actually engaged in a more meaningful way than is the case today. You know, this is a constitutional requirement that was not there during our tenure. But this constitutional requirement does not seem to be respected the way it ought to be respected, including some of the issues that you know are around the table. Yeah.
Why do you think it's not being respected? Do you think it's the status quo resisting change?
It is actually from the system itself. And with the risk of looking like some bitterness with the president, he is the person responsible. In what we call change behavior, or behavioral change, it translates better when it starts from the top. When the top is right, the rest of it will realign itself with the top. Yeah, and that's why during Kibaki 1, people arrested policemen for almost soliciting for a bribe. Yeah. Because they knew Kibaki was no nonsense person. But the current situation is that if you are not gifted in going around the corners and getting what does not belong to you from the public coffers, then you are not respected. You remember 15 cases that were dropped just because there was a new regime, as if those cases were sort of engineered politically from the previous regime. What happened to those cases? They were all dropped.
Yeah, we were told they had been engineered.
Well,
politically
engineered in the first place, and that's why
then you take somebody to KRA who had a case with KRA of 17 billion. I don't know.
9:30, let's take this break. Kipruto Arapkirwa is currently a governance expert. He has been a minister. He's been a member of parliament for many years, representing Cherangani constituency. And now he looks at things from a vantage position and says, okay, with the benefit of experience, I can see and I can interpret some of those things that are happening. We are asking him to interpret for us what is happening in this country. Political hygiene. How do we achieve it as a people?
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
A special report. Good morning, kid. Leo, to pay our listeners some game. Imagine kuwa na a reliable squad all through your day.
Squad unaweza count on, maze.
Uta enjoy all things finance and fun. Talk of transacting seamlessly. Plus, unaweza link other bank cards kwa app. Ulipe bills easily na uweke standing orders,
Ku access loans za kugrow life yako nayo. It's just one time.
Squad sasa ni loop. Loops here to suit your lifestyle.
No matter what your financial or lifestyle need is, the Loop Squad will be there by your side to sort you out. Download Loop today.
It's not just an app, it's a lifestyle. Why wait? Loop it.
Regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
Unbeatable deals at Pepino's Pizza, Kimathi Street. Get this. 2 large pizzas plus a 1.25-liter soda for just 1,500 Kenya shillings, or 2 medium pizzas and a 1.25-liter soda for just 1,200 Kenya shillings. Available every Tuesday and Thursday. Chicken lovers, we got you covered too. Enjoy 2 crispy chicken pieces, chips, and a 350 ml soda for just 500 shillings. Call 0728-261-875 or order online at pepinospizza.co.ke. Join us for mouth-watering treats all month long. Hashtag Pepino's Pizza at 8. Ready to take your farm to the next level? The Farm Kenya Annual Mkulima Expo in Kitale is the place to be. Circle the dates, 27th and 29th of September at Ndura Grounds. This year's game-changing theme, safe harvesting and storage, bigger profits. Get hands-on with cutting-edge tech, unlock the secrets of safe storage, and dive into farm-to-fork innovations. Rub shoulders with top players from seed companies, mechanization pros, storage experts, and more, all under one roof. Farmers, MSMEs, researchers, investors, this event is tailor-made for you. It's your shot to elevate your farm and maximize your gains. Don't just watch from the sidelines. Be part of the action at the Farm Kenya Expo. Brought to you by Farm Kenya. Powering the future of farming, transforming lives.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Partly sunny conditions at 17 in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 13, and highs of 25 and lows of 13 in a sunny Nakuru at 19. 18 and mostly sunny in Nyeri with highs of 24 and lows of 14, while Eldoret at 18 is mostly sunny. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 12. Mombasa is sunny at 26 with highs of 30, and into Malindi at 29, sunny going to highs of 30 and lows of 24. It's 25 and mostly cloudy in Kisumu with highs of 30 and lows of 20, while Kakamega at 23 is partly sunny. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 16. Kampala is sunny at 24 with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam at 27 is sunny with highs of 31. Johannesburg is sunny at 13 with highs of 22, and we'll see highs of 30 in a sunny Mogadishu at 29. It's 18 and sunny in Addis Ababa, highs of 22 and lows of 11. Lagos is cloudy with highs of 30 and lows of 25, and partly sunny conditions in Kinshasa with highs of 32 and lows of 24. It is sunny in Beijing at 25. We'll see lows of 15. It's raining in Paris at 14 with highs of 19, while it's cloudy in London, going to highs of 17. We'll finish things off in New York, where it's 17 and cloudy. Later, we'll see highs of 19 and lows of 17.
Seal the deal every day with the all-in-one plan from Safaricom. Get data, minutes, and SMS all-in-one on-the-go monthly bundle plan from Safaricom. Tune into the Situation Room every Monday to Friday as we unpack the all-in-one monthly plan from Safaricom. Safaricom is for you.
Busy this morning. We're looking at traffic coming in still from a lot of parts of the city, but the Eastern Bypass looking a lot clearer now, as is Outer Ring, not doing too badly. Just a little bit of traffic left on Kangunde Road, and the Thika Superhighway coming in from Survey through towards Murang'a Road. That still continues to be busy, and we'll still see some traffic, a little bit of it coming on Raila Odinga Way, touching on Ngong Road, which, by the way, up there just beyond the junction has some traffic as well. Apart from that, we're coming out of traffic hour with not too much of an issue. SpiceFM KE on X through the morning.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversation continues with Kipruto Arap Kirwa, who is now a governance expert on matters that are happening, what's happening in the country now. This constitution has given us very many things, good things. Some of them people argue bad things. It's still, the jury's still out there. It has given us 2 deputy presidents so far. Both of them have gone through the same kind of treatment. It has given us deputy governors, and we have seen what's happened to the deputy governors.
Yeah, there are a number of things that some thoughts have engaged in terms of the issues of deputy. One of the suggestions is that, of course, the deputy should also have substantial position, just the way you used to have. Let's say you could have a vice president and minister for finance, for Saitoti and the late Kibaki. they occupy that position. I was also thinking deputy governors in various jurisdictions should also be given substantive office, because otherwise they run the risk of looking like they are the peers to the governor. But another addition is for us to tinker around with the constitution to provide for possibility that if I'm running for deputy president and I happen to win with my president, and I intend to run, there should be a haters period that upon like 2022, the current pair took office, and if Rigathi Gachagua wants to run, he should opt out of 2007 as a presidential, as a deputy.
2027.
2027. This next election after one term.
Yeah.
After one term, or if you serve the full term, 2032, you should wait up to 2037. For me, it will give us a chance where the president's legacy is not confused by the ambition of his deputy. I think that was the main problem between Uhuru and Ruto.
But this is the issue, though.
Yes.
They campaign together.
Yes.
That means they own the legacy that they want to build.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So by the end of a term, they should basically, throughout the term, they should be working together.
Yes.
To deliver on this dream that they sold to the people. And they should deliver on achieving and realizing this legacy. So one continuing into another would be okay, because it means that the people are saying, yes, you served for those 5 years, we are giving you another 5 years to continue, and we are happy with what you've done. After 10 years, Mr. President, go, your deputy can continue for another.
Well,
if they behaved well.
Yes,
but
if they behaved well, but you realize we are not behaving well. So I think there should be a break. So that also for deputy governors and governors, likewise, because there is no single deputy governor today, perhaps in 1 or 2 counties, who is happy. They are complaining about their governor. Either we need to look at the character of the 2 individuals running in the same ticket. Because at the end of the day, we are wasting a lot of time and public resources by the infighting within government. Today, I'm sure the deputy president cannot call any officer of government to request certain things to be done because of the hostility between him and his boss. That is worrying me. Because this role now is that we are paying him a salary without allowing him to work. Yeah.
Does it, because that's where it does strike me, and I mean, at the risk of sounding offensive, it just appears to me that there's a bit of almost immature politics being played out here. That such a thing would have to happen, that if you then require certain mechanics to have your office running because of what could be frosty relations between yourself and your superior, then the mechanics for your office would not be supplied. Or that we see certain things that need to happen and they don't happen because this frosty political relationship is happening. To me, it strikes me as a bit of immature politics. We should be able to have your thing, then go out and duke it out at the ballot box, but get things done for the nation. Why can't we see that can happen? Why? Because you don't have to be friends at the office, but you can get things done, and then you can sort out your issues later.
Yes, I agree with you. Fully, but we are yet to reach that particular stage. Even democracy in Kenya, for example, has not really matured. Because even in all these political parties, they're either fashioned around an individual or around a collection of communities who have come together for the fear of the other communities. We are yet to have serious democratic institutions and structures that allow people to make decisions. We call the delegates conference in all political parties is supposed to be the supreme organ. But here in Kenya, they have to listen what is the leader saying for us to realign ourselves. ODM of yesterday is different from ODM of today because Raila has decided to work with William Ruto. And therefore, it has become a new, they are realigning themselves. You realize Orengo was almost suffering a backlash from the rest of the membership when he said he was hesitant to want to get into an arrangement with Kenya Kwanza. So it's still, as a student of politics, I still believe we are yet to be fully democratic. We are yet to respect institutions. The democracy that we talk about is a democracy in books, but in practice we don't do anything closer to what ideal democracy does provide.
Do we understand democracy?
We seem to understand theoretically, but we don't seem to have owned it. We don't own it because it is like it is an alien body that has visited Africa. It is not Kenya alone. It is in almost all countries. My little study that I did in one of the papers indicates that there are only 2 political parties that are worth the name. CCM in Tanzania, and again ANC in South Africa, although it is now been visited with a lot of challenges. And there is also some semblance of democracy in Botswana. But in Botswana, it is slightly different because it is like a collection of chiefs from various ethnic conclaves that come together to create that kind of consensus around the country.
Maybe that's our democracy.
Yeah, possibly that may be the...
Maybe that's what we've been practicing, but in a different way. Because just like you've explained,
yes,
if you look at it, it is regional kingpins. We use those terms loosely, but they mean a lot. Regional kingpins representing regions, tribes, right? And even with the BBI, there was an attempt then to say, let's bring in the regional kingpins and put them all together in the executive so we can share. We can have one president, deputy president, prime minister, 2 deputy prime ministers, and then you can have, leader of majority, leader of the, you can have an opposition. So we can bring all those guys into somewhere where they are sitting at a table. Maybe that is our democracy.
Well, that is, but then we need to do it, put it in the books. Otherwise, the democracy that we describe in 2010 Constitution is different from that kind of arrangement that I'm suggesting does happen in Botswana. Yeah, but nonetheless...
Does it work in Botswana?
It works. It has worked, but at times there's been some shortchanging of individuals in the sense that the deputy president at that time faked illness, that he was going to die in office because he had some cancer. Only for him to be given some temporary relief by the president with the hope that when he dies, the issue will be sorted out. Only for him to take over. And when he took over, the president ran away from the country. So we still got enough challenges in Africa about tolerating each other. We don't seem to tolerate each other.
We don't seem to know what we want as well as a country. Or maybe we do, but it's just we just haven't
gotten round to saying, saying this is it exactly, this is how we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Because I am a proponent for being able to, form and forge your own way of doing things. Because the truth of the matter is that a democracy is a handed down system. It's a handed down system of the democracy as is prescribed by particular states is a handed down system of doing things that is just assumed that, okay, well, we've left you to your independence. How about you take this on and that's how you should form? Or because some of the greatest quote unquote nations of the world have adopted this particular kind of governance, then we say, okay, well, let's apply it to ourselves without looking at the very tenets or elements that are existent within, the boundaries of a sovereign state. Is it not possible to say, okay, forward thinking, clear thinking, you can actually form and forge your own way?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that we need to do when you say that, some people think you are suggesting amendment of the Constitution. Far from it. We need to do an audit of the current Constitution. The things that we feel are okay, we retain them. The things that we feel we could do better, including the arrangement at the top. Because you see, what we did in 2010, we traveled through the world. We wanted Westminster system. When we reached Naivasha, we went the American system, but not quite the American system. So we may need to look at the current Constitution, perhaps look at the recommendations that were sent to Parliament the other day, where we are able to disperse power from the presidency. Because the idea of 2010 Constitution, was to reduce power from the center so that all parts of the country have some little power. But you see, what we did was almost to take it raw, give it to the governor, who becomes like a president of a county and behaves worse than the president, because systems were not even put properly. But thank God, at least the public is getting more and more aware. So my thinking would be, let us do an audit of the current constitution, see which things are okay, which things can we do better, including the issue of CDF. Even if I was a member of parliament, I used the CDF for the 4 years that I served, the last 4 years of my service, because starting with 6 million all the way now, it is 165. But at times, the way it has taken shape is that the MP is becoming a mini president of a constituency. So some of those issues, let us have resources ring-fenced for a certain constituency, all the 290 constituencies, but it should not be the decision of the MP. It should be the decision of a committee removed from the MP, so that the MP is just one of the constituents making those particular decisions. That is one way. Also, at the top, we must rethink, how do we make sure that no part of the country feels out of government? Because you could see, you bring five people from ODM, and almost the ODM nation believes they are now in government. So they were crying for only 5 ministers, and yet the president has been visiting the constituency that is akin to, let's say, the center of epicenter of ODM, even before he did that. But it was not enough until Raila donated the 5 experts that that he gave to government.
And now they are happy.
They seem to be happy, and they actually they are almost becoming gatekeepers worse than those who were previously in Kenya Kwanza. But on a more serious note, I think we still need to relook at this constitution and also assist ourselves to realize that when you are elected a president, you are not our chief. You are just one of us doing a job that you are given for the period of 5 years, and if you are given another mandate, 10 years, and you go.
That's it.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Ruto, in as far as we need to relook at our constitution. But I have a different thought beyond that. Beyond that is to relook at our constitution and take ourselves back into 2010, into the journey towards 2010, when we were seeking to give ourselves a new constitution. What were we after? We were after a government that serves us, a government that we feel is serving us, a government that we feel has all the systems and checks and balances. So what did we do? We created a government that had various institutions, and we said we are stopping to personalize government and to institutionalize government. And that's why we created commissions, independent offices, 3 arms of government, and we clearly separated their roles and dictated that, and also said the role of the citizen in making sure that every decision of government has to start with the approval of the citizen, right? So I agree we need to relook and see, so which of these things is working, which of the institutions is not working, and why are they not working, and make them work. Because I have a sense that it is after we gave ourselves a constitution and went back, we gave the dog to look after the meat. And told the dog, now we have tumekatakata hii nyama, tumeweka vitunguu, nitumbukiza, tumeweka hata viazi kubwa kubwa, cabbage mzima, sukuma, spinach mzima, huko ndani. Sasa wewe umbwa, guard this meat and tell me when the meat is ready.
You're whetting my appetite too.
And you know what happened to the dog with that meat? Maybe that we expected that system would immediately embrace this constitution that is dismantling it and allow us to move. And the system is now telling us, let's revise. You see, it's not working. Fanya hivi, instead of boiling this meat, in a pot and there's a flame, remove it from the flame, weka hapa chini. It is easier for me to look at it and to make sure that nobody opens. And the dog is basically saying, remove the meat from the fire, put it where I can reach it so I can eat it better.
Yeah.
And I'm saying we should ask ourselves, if the dog is the problem, we remove the dog.
The dog.
Yeah, there lies the answer. Actually, remember that small book written by Chinua Achebe. Initially, it was the trouble with Nigeria. Now it is the image of Africa. In one of the chapters, he said there is no problem with Africa. It's not about the people. It's not about the resources. It's not about the weather. It's not about all these other things. The problem lies squarely with lack of effective leadership. Because let's remember that the same constitution promulgated 2010, Kibaki had led the country for more than 8 years under the old constitution, the same constitution that put us in a lot of trouble. But he was able to do a number of things, to open airwaves, to open space in terms of freedom of expression and many things. So at times it may not be even the constitution, it may be the problem is lack of effective leadership. That is where our problem is.
What do you think, Do?
I know, because if we're saying lack of effective leadership, because if you apply the same principle in another nation, if you had ineffective leadership in another nation, we would see the crumbling of, processes or progress the same way that you do in other places. So if that is the one element that is needed to have this happen, are we then saying that if you had effective leadership across board at whatever at the minutest level, that we would see that governance then would be at the very least efficient?
Yeah, let's go back to the same country, Nigeria. When the late Murtala Muhammad took over government, they knew that he was no nonsense man. And within 24 hours, every officer was on a desk or his desk at 7 o'clock in the morning because they knew. So it takes the top to realign the issues downwards. If the leadership at the top is not effective and is seen to be partaking in certain things that are forbidden, everybody will copy. And people either cope with situations or copy situations and perfected themselves. Because like I come from a maize growing county, that's Trans Nzoia. If the mother steals from the granary and the children see the maize stolen, instead of going to posho mill, they sell it in between. Those children will be thieves and they will not see anything wrong with stealing maize from the granary.
But if she does it right, essentially what we are saying is that they will follow her.
They will follow her
if she's doing the right thing.
The right thing.
Yeah.
So leadership is the main problem, whether at the county leadership, and also it behoves Kenyans to make decisions in the next election, who they elect as governor, who they elect as president, and many other positions. So that at the end of the day, we may be blaming the people that are leading us, but it is we who put them in those particular offices because we believed they were behaving like us, which means there is something also inherent in us that we are not as straight as we profess.
Some people have said, Kipruto, as we conclude, that looking at the Gen Z protests and what they brought to the fore, and even the president acknowledged it in New York the other day and said, you know what, Kenyans have placed a very, very high bar for me. They want excellence. When I do very good, they tell me, we didn't elect you to do very good. We want you to do excellent. And so that bar is too high. But the thing is, he understood a bit of what Kenyans were saying, which is we want a government that serves us. We want a government that responds to our needs, right? After the handshake of the broad-based government and the donation of some few opposition leaders into government, we seem to have gone back into status quo. The politics that was being played out in this country in January, February, March, April is the politics that's being played out in this country in September. It's like June, July never happened to the political class.
Yeah, our current leader, President William Ruto, has good memory for bad things and bad memory for good things.
What does that mean?
It means he knows the right thing to be done, but he forgets sooner than later. Number two, he makes certain statements that he does not believe in. That's why the same GNCs, displayed 1,000 lies he has made since he took over office. And you yourself, you asked him, why does he like lying? I don't think he gave you a good answer. Yeah. So at times he says it for the convenience of the audience, but he does not believe in some of those things. I've known him
What do you
since the days he
think
left
will now
university.
happen?
Yeah?
What do you think will now happen? What do you think will happen next? Because, the political class has grouped and they're moving on like, business as usual. What do you think is happening in Kenya right now?
There are two constituencies that are very important, in my opinion. The Mount Kenya bloc and the GNCs. Those are the two constituencies that will determine then the kind of leadership that we'll have in the next election. I have a strong feeling that if William was to win, it's not because of his popularity. It is because of the disorganization of the opposition. Otherwise, anybody can beat William. I can tell you. I know him, and I know I've been around for quite some time. I may not be a very serious politician, but I read politics every day. I sleep politics. I wake up politics. And I know the next election will be determined around the mountain and in that constituency called GNC. People say there could be 8 million, but for me, I put it between 5 and 8. They will determine who becomes the next leader. It's only that perhaps they themselves have not clearly realized who the leaders are that are already on this political space.
You've said it. Kipruto Arap Kirwa, Mzee, elder, former minister, former MP, has been our guest for this hour. Thank you for joining us. We'll invite you again.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Asante
Yeah,
sana.
thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. We thank you very much for wherever you've been following the conversation, whether you're listening or watching across the globe. It's coming up to 10 o'clock. We'll be back tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. It'll be Ndu and I. Sitri is still away. He's enjoying some time. So have yourselves a lovely day. Good morning. This time we'll have the news. It's 10 a.m.